Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another segment of Crypto Talk Now. Yes, we hope that you're doing great in the great world. And I messed that one up today, and that's okay. Yes, I do hope you guys are doing great on this wonderful Friday, getting into Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you guys get a 3-day weekend. We're going to welcome a few guys. And please smash that like. We are currently at 11 likes. All right. We'll wait for a few more people to filter on in. And let's just welcome some of you guys before we do so. So let me turn on some branding. All right. Give me a follow over at DPG Maximus on the new X platform, formerly known as Twitter, right up there. Thank you very much. Let me double check the other screen real quick. Seems like we're doing pretty good. And we're going to start things off by welcoming the first comment of the day. Comes from Tim Shea. He says, hey, thank you for being here. Tim Shea, Mayor Crypto Commissioner, representing the 589th and his fellow constituents, I should say. Sharks with lasers. Yes, absolutely, Dr. Evil. You know, you got to throw him in the mix with those other big wigs, right? But yeah, glad to have you here, Tim. Thank you so much. Patrick Collier is here. He says, Vaseline with lasers. Kind of funny how that's a weird picture. Vaseline with lasers. Huh. All right. Well, welcome, Patrick. Boom. All right. What up, Tim? Big Max, CTN fam. Thank you. Brittany is in the house. She says, happy Friday. I hope you're having a happy Friday, Brittany. Thank you for being a long supporter of this network. Thank you. Let's welcome back Mike. It's been a while since I've seen you, Mike. Maybe you were in the comments before and I didn't see you. I don't know, But thank you for being here, Mike. Always a pleasure. Hopefully you're having a good Labor Day weekend. Boom, to Mike. All right, KK is in the house. He says China unbans crypto. We'll see how that works because you know what? That can contribute a lot whether you're a fan of China or not, right? KK says he still thinks in September there's going to be a dump, buy dip in 2 weeks. That's a good point. I'm waiting for the weekend report. Should be on Saturday, but maybe I'll take a break because it's Labor Day weekend. So we'll find out. Let's see here. We're also going to welcome Mr. Brian Dowie. Mr. Brian F. Dowie. Thank you for being here. Brian Dowie. Sup. Glad to have you. Let's see here. You guys are all welcome each other. Brian Dowie says Vaseline with lasers. Sounds like something Caroline would enjoy. Interesting. All right, you guys, wait. You guys ready for it? Here we go. The guy with one of the best names, if not the best name in all crypto. Let's just be honest. Drum roll, please, for the one and only Mr. Boomer F. Sooner. Or if you're weird, Sooner F. Boomer. So at the end of the day, who is really at the 50-yard line right now? Is that put off until tomorrow? Could be, right? Last night, ASU had a game against Southern Utah. That game didn't end until like 1 o'clock in the morning because there was a rain delay and there was so much lightning. It was crazy. Anyway, shout out to you, sir, Mr. Boomer F. Sooner, and your dog and whoever else is chilling, watching this program on your couch. Thanks for being here, Boomer. All right. Crypto Homes 777 is also in the house. You guys are all welcome each other. Great communion we have. Crypto Homes 777 says, what did everyone buy today? Well, I didn't buy anything today. I didn't have a chance to really look at anything yet. Caught up with a friend of mine who I haven't talked to since January. So there's a lot of that, a lot of, the whole thing with the hospital with my dad. The report is he ended up getting a fracture in his left knee, the fibula, whatever the heck it's called. So he's going to be in the hospital at least for a few more days, which sucks, but at least he's in good care. So, all right. Crypto Homes 777 says he bought a couple quants under 100 and more XRP under 50 cents. I did receive a QNT donation. It was a little sliver, and that was awesome. So, yes, he knows who he is, and thank you so much to that individual. All right. But yeah, bought a couple Quant 100. Hey man, that's awesome. Remember when it was 97? That's great. XRP at 50 cents. That's great as well. I'm glad you guys are recognizing the sales because we did dip down to 1.04 trillion, and then we might as well just show you right now on the screen. Basically, it's like this. We went from neutral, and now we're at fear, 34 on that fear and greed index. Yeah, just on the surface. Yeah, Ripple's XRP below 50 cents, absolute buy. What else really stands out in the top 100 right now? Polygon, that's not a bad price for Polygon. Let's just be honest about that. Even Shiba Inu, not too bad. I think that's maybe a little bit more than I originally paid for it all the way back in May of 2021. Oh man, Stellar's a buy in my opinion. I mean, even if that was to tank below 10 cents, that would be a steal, right? I don't have Monero, but it's always one that I've been considering. Talked about Uniswap over at Teddy Ganja's channel the other day or yesterday. Even though it's sitting at 428 and we've seen it significantly cheaper, you got to keep in mind Uniswap V4. We're in V3. When V4 drops, that's an absolute game changer. Hold on a second. Absolute game changer, right? Saving 99% on the platform. You better believe people start using that platform left and right all over again. Cosmos at 668. That's another buy. We can get into a lot of things that are buys, right? I am going to eventually do a intro to Mantle, but I think Mantle is a good project. I'll explain it on some other day. ICP at 325 is a buy. Filecoin is a buy. Chronos, even at 5 cents, been kind of hovering there. Aptos, obviously Quant's a buy. So yeah, there's a lot of great sales, you guys. And I'm glad that you recognize it. Ooh, man, the graph is an absolute steal at 8.5 cents. Man, I may finally get into Tezos. I know Investor Place is really big on that. Yeah, like I mentioned, guys, we can get into quite a few things. But yeah, just recognize the market real quick. All right, glad you guys took advantage of some of that. L. Wright Senior's in the house. Hello, Max. Thank God it's Friday. Yes, thank you for being here. L. Wright Senior, man, I really appreciate you guys. L. Wright, Tim Shea, you name it. Crypto Homes 777. Oh, you guys, right? You rock. Thank you so much. All right, let's see who else we have in here, and then we're going to get more into a few more comments and then get into the outline that we have tonight. If you're wondering about what the outline is for tonight, it is finally an intro into render. And I'm not just going to give you the things you can normally do, which is, hey, go to the site, check it out, a little bit of that. But on top of that, of course, I'm going to do what I do, and that is to give you some updates towards the end after the intro in regards to render, some recent things that happened, some big things that happened. So if render is your thing, take a look into it. Am I personally invested into render? No, but I think I eventually will be. I recognize, hey, this is a great project, and you guys have requested that you wanted a intro. We've been talking about it for a long time, right? Many months now. So here it is. Shout out to you guys who have some render. I should say here it is. It'll be here in a second. All right. Let's yes, welcome Yamaha Pacifica. He says hello all. Happy Labor Day weekend. Yes, indeed. Hopefully you guys are gonna have some good barbecue. I am looking to grill up some hamburgers later, right? Got some good ingredients for that. I have some steaks too, but I'll probably wait until the weekend for that. And unlike you guys, I'd probably do the indoor grill because it's just too darn hot in Phoenix to do an outside, burn my what off for my barbecue. All right. So let's see what else we got up in here. You love you some tacos. Yeah, I had some tacos the other day from Rubio's. All right, let's see here. Ahmed, welcome to the one and only Ahmed. Good to see you, Ahmed. Boom. All right. What is this about Mr. Hulk I just saw on the screen? Sup, Ahmed, from me and Hulk. Something happened over there, because this is the second day in a row you mentioned this. Did something happen in regards to Ahmed getting banned by Hulk or something? I don't know. Boomer F. Sooner says, a bunch of groceries and dude wipes down there at the Walmart. What the heck? I don't know if I want you to read all this stuff. All right, so let's go further down. What is this? Hi, Brain and Hulk. Hope everybody's staying hydrated. Everyone doing cardio. Huh. All right. Thank you. All right. Well, look who just filed in. It's the one and only Mr. Elon F. Muff. Right. Yeah. Everybody's got an effing going on tonight, I guess, apparently. Not really. Just a joke, right? Anyway. Mike Cornwell, Elon Muff, thank you for being here, sir. Gave you a little somewhat of an unofficial shout out earlier. Brian Dowie says, Ahmed doing beer curls at the moment. Anyway, Hulk is on right now. Interesting. All right, you represent the 589th. Let's also welcome Calvin the 5th. Calvin 5, blessings. Let's go, Jasmy Coin. Thank you for being here. Not to be confused with our Calvin of the T6 glider, but this is Calvin 5, Calvin the 5th. I don't know. You tell us how you want to be addressed, but welcome. Consider changing your avatar. This speaks more about who you are and what you're about. But guys, let's give Calvin a warm welcome, and please smash that like. We're going to start the outline of what we have tonight here soon. We're currently at 19 likes. Thank God it's Friday, right? Thank God it's Friday, and thank God that we are going into Labor Day weekend. You guys all deserve a 3-day weekend. Some of you guys got a 4-day weekend. It just depends, right? Yes, what up, homie? Glad to have you, man. Boom, boom. 40-yard line is waiting for you at some point. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe not with Mr. Squidward over there, but anyway. Boomer F. Center says, shoot, my alma mater is getting drilled right now. Oh, if you only knew about who was at the 40 or 30 getting drilled right now. But yes, Hara 36, McLeod 0 at the half. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for that report. All right. So we are reading this from Mr. Elon Muff. Chilling with the homies, chilling with the squid, cooking some big fat, you know what, steaks on the grill. Nice. Very nice. What did you guys get? You guys go with T-bones? You go with ribeyes, big fat porterhouse, Angus? Was it prime? Do you go with choice? I don't know. You let us know if you want. I don't know. All right. We're just gonna check out a few more comments. You only slept 2 hours last night? Yikes. All right. Let's also welcome Corey B-Bay as well as River. Appreciate you guys. Just a few more people. And thank you again for being here, especially on a Friday. I mean, some people don't feel like maybe they don't want to tune in on a Friday, got other things going on. Kind of wish I could play some Dr. Dre, where he's like, thank God it's Friday, keep your heads ringing type thing. But, YouTube would have a hissy fit over that, right? On Twitter, they don't care. All right, let's go further down. We got Magic Power in the house. He says, hello. Or I'm sorry, let's say it like that. Hello, guten Tag, the Liechtenstein Exchange. Jasmy with the Rice Crop Consortium in the house. Let's go. All right. Thank you for being here, Mr. Magic Power. All right. Achille Pierre, Mr. Deep Dive. Love it. Thank you very much. We got some deep dive stuff for you guys. Achille Pierre is welcoming you guys, saying hello to everybody. Consider changing your avatar. Something that speaks more about who you are and what you're about, but that's fine. He's busy working his butt off to invest. Yes, I know how that goes. I mean, you work so hard, and then when you see the market tank, you get that fear. Like I always tell people, DCA, the power of the DCA, right? Don't go exactly all out on one thing, but you guys are gonna do what you're gonna do. Yeah, stay strong. I totally agree. All right, we're going to use this guy as a bookmark. Well, maybe a couple guys. Kalo Maraquin says, hey, Max. Is Kalo Kylo Ren. Okay, so Kylo Maraquin. Glad to spend some of my Friday with you and everyone here. Man, I'm honored. Thank you so much. Well, let's welcome Kylo Maraquin. That sounds like a cool name. Welcome Dwight Von Tress as well. And how about we just also welcome Le Grand Commission. He says, welcome to Crypto Max Now. Yes, you better believe it, right? Anyway, thank you, my friend. Glad to have you here. Coney Islands are in the house. We will talk about the Jasmy chain. Towards the end of the Jasmy segment, I have a new report to provide you that was basically released about maybe 20-30 minutes ago from the one and only Jasmy of KIR Finance. Keeping it real finance. Congratulations to him of being a first round draft pick of the Jasmy ambassadors. I may possibly be picked, with the 139th pick in the 7th round of the Jasmy ambassador draft. The people of Tokyo, Japan proudly select DPG Maximus, who's going straight to, I don't know what team, the Orlando Magic or something. I don't know. You get where I'm going with this. It sounds bad, but I'll be honored just to make it. Anyway, my point is this. Jesse has a report in regards to Jasmy Chain. I watched the entire thing. It's like roughly a half an hour. I got to the part that I feel as though that you guys have been asking a lot about, Q4 lockup, all that stuff, right? And so I got that primed and ready to go for you guys. All right, yes, Ring Ring Dong, good song. And we'll welcome OG Crypto. Welcome. Let's get into what we have. Please smash that like. Hopefully we could tick up. We're currently at 24 likes. Our goal is to get to at least, I don't know, maybe we can get to 45, possibly 50 as a high for tonight on the Friday. Thank God it's Friday with Max show tonight, right? So if you just tuned in, our lineup is going to be an intro to Render. After that, we're going to give you that Jasmy that you're all waiting for. And then to end the night, we have some stellar in regards to Sorbonne. I had to really look all over for some info in that regard, but it's a pretty good segment. Not a super long segment, but a good one. Those are going to round off our 3 for the night. And if anything, if you're hoping for some quant and so on, Mr. Quant Papa gave me a lot of detailed information. There's only one problem. He said I couldn't share it with anybody. He's like, this one is only for you. And I was like, oh boy, I got to have Quant Pop, if you're watching right now, you got to give me some that I can share it with the community, man. But I do thank you for your, amazing news that you shared with me and so on. Guys got like Biggie Smalls, right? He's got connections. You get that stuck like glue. All right, let's jump into this intro for Render and check it out for yourself. Here it basically is. We're going to start with going to the Otoy site. Now, if you're a big fan of Render, you already know what I'm talking about. Here it is. And I'll come back into the frame on this one. I think I already am in it. So if you are new to the concept of Render or don't know what Render is, this is right up your alley. Basically speaking, there's a lot to it when it comes to Render. And, back in the days, the early days of like Bitcoin and so on, I mean, it was a big deal to be able to use your graphics card to mine, BTC, but we've come a long way since then. Real-time 3D rendering, the world's first GPU-based physically correct renderer. Now, we're going to show you some demos, live action. I mean, if we're talking about rendering graphics, right, especially when it comes to ray tracing type level material, got to give you some visualization. It's not going to give you everything. That's just going to be, hey, here's some articles, right? So they have this real-time capture here. It's a demonstration basically of, what they're capable of doing. But if you're wondering about Render, like it says, they are the world's first and fastest unbiased spectrally correct GPU render engine. They deliver quality and speed unrivaled by any production renderer on the market. They're also proud to advance state-of-the-art graphics technologies with groundbreaking machine learning, optimizations, out-of-core geometry support, massive 10 to 100x speeds in the scene graph, and RTX ray tracing GPU hardware acceleration. Now, if you're a type person and you don't even know what any of this means, and you're like, what the heck is RTX? What the heck is ray tracing? Ray tracing is an absolute game changer as far as producing realism graphics. And what I mean by that is, and I've used this example in the past, in the year 2001, for instance, there was the movie Pearl Harbor. Now, don't get me wrong, some people don't like the movie Pearl Harbor. They feel as though it was one of Michael Bay's worst films. To each his own. I like it. That's actually my dad's favorite movie, by the way, because he always dreamed of being a fighter pilot when he was younger. But my point is ray tracing technology. That film, Pearl Harbor, is a great example of ray tracing technology. And that technology used to be exclusive to Hollywood only. And it's amazing how we've progressed where these technologies are, regular consumers like us can have, we can have this, right? We can even see it in the video games. We can see it in other types of things. But that movie, Pearl Harbor, right? You really think there's, 300 plus Mitsubishi Japanese Zero fighter planes that are still around? I think there's like maybe one or two in the whole world. How do you create a scene that replicates, right, the attack on Pearl Harbor, for instance, and make it look photorealistic, right? So what you do is you basically take an image of the original plane, if you will, and then you retrace over that image in all sorts of different angles thousands of times. And then by the naked eye, for instance, once that's rendered, it looks photorealistic. Now let's present, of course, render to you, like, what is this? But my point is I wanted to give you a kind of an idea of what ray tracing is all about, or RTX. RTX graphics cards are some of the most expensive ones out there on the market, especially if you're a gamer. I want a 4080 GTX, but I mean, that's a very expensive graphics card, right? I would have to do a lot of upgrades, my processor, my RAM, you name it, right? But, they have this thing about what's new in this, and, the connections, obviously, with NVIDIA. You're more than, you can more than take a look more into this. But I want to get to the nitty gritty of why I'm presenting this to you. And if anything, you can go to their site, which is home.otoy.com, look more into this. But here is the rendernetwork.com site. And in the process of getting to this, I'm going to blow this up a little bit more. And you're going to see some key things here. So for one, it's like, how does this all work, basically? And maybe I went into a little bit too, I don't know, blew it up too much in which I lost my spot. But I was going to state to you guys is this, I think it's right here. There we go. I'll just keep it on that because I'm going to lose my spot. The Render Network, what's it all about? That's the bottom line, right? Well, they did launch back in 2017. They've been around, right? I mean, you think about your Ripples and so on. Right, been around a long time as well. But Render Network provides unlimited decentralized GPU computing power for the next generation of 3D content creation. They're also the first decentralized GPU rendering platform. They empower artists to scale, and I like the terms here, GPU. And by the way, you're going to see an example from their founder / CEO. He's going to talk about this in a bit. But the point is to be able to scale GPU rendering work on demand to high performance GPU nodes around the world. How is that going to be done? Through blockchain, right? Through a marketplace, right? For idle GPU computation. So it's not like, some other mining solutions that have been out there in the past where you are literally stress testing to the max of what your GPU, as in graphics processing unit, right, graphics card can do. You could actually do a lot of this stuff in idle. And that's very appealing to somebody that doesn't want to, for instance, shell out good money for like an RTX graphics card. They're very expensive, anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 or more just for the graphics card. And then have it be stress tested, if you will, 24/7, right? A lot of people are not necessarily wanting to sign that up. You got to have a good incentive for them to do that. Again, enter in render, right? If you can do anything on idle, think about right now, like my computer's on idle, I'm only using like maybe like 2 or 3% of my CPU and stuff like that. That's not much. So what is this about? At the end of the day, why should you look more into render? And that's what I would be asking if I was a person like you on the show. Now, what I want to show you guys is this in regards to the CMC listing. The reason why this is important, and I'm not, going to BS you on any of this. I'm not paid by Render or anything like that. It's just something you guys requested a while back. But as far as the nitty gritty, we should all pay attention to opportunities, again, not financial advice, but the far left on this page is what I want to show you. So currently speaking, Render sits at $1.34. Its ticker symbol is RNDR. This is straight from CMC. But the bottom line is what you're going to see here in a bit. And basically speaking, they currently have a ranking on CMC of 63rd overall. So they're in that top 100. They have a market cap of 497 million currently, based off of the current market conditions. We're at 1.04 trillion for the overall crypto market. The volume has been down currently. A lot of things are down, right? Bottom line is this. What is the total supply? What is the max supply? So the max supply on Render is only 536 million tokens. And that is significant. A lot of times we cover projects, I should say a lot of times, like all the time, right? Quant, 14 some odd million tokens. Heck, you guys obviously know about BTC, unless you've been living under a rock, right? BTC, a little over 21 million coins, right? So the bottom line is, what stands out for those is scarcity, especially, right? When we talk your ear off about quant, this is not quant. But what I do like is this doesn't have billions or trillions of tokens. So there you go. Max supply, 536 million. Total supply, 530 million, give or take, right? How much is currently in circulation? Great question. 69.27%. So, this is not some brand new project. They didn't come out with, like, for instance, a bad release where you saw an example of, 1.5 billion tokens, or in this case, 1.5 million tokens, and then the price just tanks. Okay, no, not at all. Currently speaking, if you're looking to get into this, it instills some confidence because you do have a decent amount, more than half of the supply in circulation. Now, getting more into this, if you're wanting some other stats before we get more into the outline, and again, this is just an intro. This is not really a deep dive. It may seem like a deep dive. It is not. This is an intro. What about the performance? How did this do? Because everybody's wondering about that, right? So all-time highs was November 21st, 2021, towards the end of last, bull market, if you will, $8.76. It's basically been down about 85% since then. A lot of projects have been that or higher, right? 90, 95. In the case of Jasmine, 99%, stuff like that. What about all-time lows, right? June 16th, 2020, 3 years ago. Look at that. It was all the way down to 0.03676. So for people that got in then, man, they did more than well. Where can you get this? And don't get me wrong, we'll get more into the outline of what we have. You can get it on a lot of different exchanges. You get it off of Binance, you get it off of Coinbase. If you're outside the United States, you can get it on KuCoin, Kraken. There's a bunch, right? What about, instead of centralized, what about decentralized? Absolutely. Uniswap, QuickSwap, Balancer, Open Ocean. What else is there? Sushi Swap. Okay. So it's on a lot of different exchanges, centralized and decentralized. Now, getting more into this, I want to share with you guys this right here. And basically speaking, we always talk about the concept of the metaverse, okay? Everybody wants to know about the metaverse. People like talking about the metaverse. They like talking about, all these what-if scenarios. Is it more to it than just gaming? Absolutely, right? We talk about, especially Jasmy, with the educational side of what they're going to bring to the metaverse. But this is Render. What exactly stands out for them, and what they can contribute to the metaverse, and what could it mean to you as an investor? That's a great question. So if anything, we're going to show you this video. We're going to show you some other videos. This one's about roughly 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and it's from Jules Urbach. States rendering the metaverse. Let's go ahead and play this. Please smash that like, and thank you for being here for Tgif with Max, but not just with me, our wonderful community that we have here tonight. Here we go.
It was 1983 when I first saw Dragon's Lair, which totally changed my life. And it came out at a time when you had things like Pac-Man, but the difference was you're watching a Disney movie that was beautifully rendered. I mean, in fact, there was nothing better visually that I could have imagined. There's a joystick and a button, so it gave me agency to actually control what I was seeing. It gave me a really interesting insight. You have every single possible thing ever rendered stored on a disk, and you can actually just use the controller to blow those up. That could actually give you everything you want. That is something that informed a lot of the innovations and ideas that led to me creating Otoy. Otoy is working on making holographic reality from the cloud practical and possible in anybody's hands.
If you've seen some of Otoy's work, they have some the things that show off ray tracing, semi-transparent stuff, reflections, and those are literally the best images I have ever seen through any VR headset anywhere.
Otoy's role is to actually figure out the equivalent of the web or the metaverse and provide everything that somebody can need to sort of create and imagine what they want. Today, we have this holographic technology, which is all about the efficient ways of pre-rendering every possible viewpoint, every way that light can interact and change, and giving you the agency to look around that, to mix that, to interact with it. Ultimately, a creator should be able to say, I have an idea where a truck is going through a forest and I want the sun to be here. There's going to be a point where you're not going to have a wand or a mouse that does this. You're going to think about it and it's going to happen. The cloud is also another important aspect of it, because I don't feel that there needs to be a physical computer or device. The idea of this sort of metaverse is sort of an ethereal concept. The glasses that we're working with, these ODG glasses, allowed us to experiment with something that I've never seen in any other device. Sure, they're a pair of sunglasses where they have that form factor and you can see the world around you, but we actually can filter that. So we can actually turn them into VR glasses just by changing all the pixels to black, and all of a sudden you're in a black room, or we can cast a shadow on the ground, or we can block out the sun and change the entire color temperature of the room. And those are actually really important cues that without that, we will never get the eye to feel like they're actually looking at mixed reality. Render the Metaverse was a joint project that we did with Oculus, and it was amazing. So the idea of Render the Metaverse was to give every single person get a free version of Octane, and to let them just create anything they wanted, and every month Oculus would sponsor a reward. We ended up seeing thousands of these beautiful renders. They were just wild. I mean, it was absolutely mind-blowing. It's not just the visual fidelity and quality that Octane provided that's beautiful, it's that we actually could see people's imaginations of work. For me, it was one of the first times through this contest, Render the Metaverse, that I felt like this is it. This is what Otoy really is about. There's a part of me that really never grew up, and I was always in this mindset of searching and yearning for things that, I don't know, that would just allow me to explore my mind. And that the way that I imagine stories being told with our tools, and the ultimate endpoint is very much the way that children tell stories when they're playing with toys and they're actually doing things together. Every single person should have agency to create. And I feel if we do our jobs right, everyone with an idea is going to be able to render things. There won't be a learning curve, because frankly, the way that I think was always idea-based. I mean, I had a concept in my mind, maybe it was innovative, but then I had to go learn how to code it, and then I had to figure out the technology. And what if, none of that was necessary? Every child with an idea could actually change the world. That would be something amazing. And if Otoy actually fulfills this mission, that will be possible.
All right, so that's just one of a few things that we're obviously going to share with you guys tonight. Let me show you guys just a little bit more in that regard. Give me just a second. So I'm going to pull this up, because for some reason it's kind of weird when I refresh the screen. All right, so I'm going to share this with you, and before we get into the next part of what we have, and one thing I love about this intro to render is the visualizations. I mean, if I'm talking about something in regards to an actual graphics card, or using a GPU to render this, no pun intended, shouldn't I have a lot of visuals for you guys? Yeah, absolutely, right? So let's jump back into this. This is straight from the Render Network, and we're going to pull this up in a way, of course, you can see this a little bit better, because, I mean, why wouldn't we? All right, so here it is. Here's this guy that you just literally saw. And bottom line is, what is specifically this network, the Render Network? So for one, excuse me, The Render Network is a high-performance distributed GPU rendering network that leverages industry-leading OTOI, like you saw that he mentioned in that video. He was talking about, like, Dragon's Lair and so on. I did play that back in the day, right? Early 90s and so on. It was just, you wanted to play something that had some cool graphics or literally looked like you're playing a movie. Got kind of frustrating, but teach his own. But yes, industry-leading OTOI. It's software to facilitate a compute marketplace between GPU providers and GPU requesters. We're always talking about marketplaces, decentralized marketplaces, right? So this again is Jules Urbach. This is another particular video. This one's only about 2 minutes and 25 seconds. And then we'll get into the part below it. It's very educational. You might not even be aware of this if you are a render investor. But again, for a lot of you new people and so on who don't know about it or might have possibly heard about it, this is a pretty decent intro for you. So I hope you enjoy it, especially on this Friday night. Here we go. Please smash that like. Let's play it.
Hi, this is Jules Urbach, CEO of OTOI. OTOI's been at the forefront of GPU rendering for almost a decade now. Our product, Octane Render, was one of the first GPU renders to provide cinematic realism to film jobs and television. Today, it's used in productions like the opening of Westworld, and it's also now a big part of video game development, especially for AR and VR. Octane is a very special GPU software. There's really no limit to the amount of compute power and render power that you can throw behind a render job with our software. Our idea is that at a certain point, scaling GPU rendering power is too difficult. Rendering locally on a network and even in the cloud just hit a wall. It's impossible to leverage all of the GPUs in the world efficiently without some sort of decentralized system that allows that to be tracked and managed. Today, we're very proud to introduce the Render Token, which is a ERC20 token that's based on the Ethereum blockchain. This token will allow anyone to participate in render jobs and be rewarded with render tokens that they can cash in. Everyone creating renders and creating content through this system has authorship and chain of title established on the blockchain permanently. Our goal is not only to create a distributed peer-to-peer network of unlimited rendering power, but also to have a marketplace where services and assets and even modules built on the rendering network can be distributed and shared and monetized by everyone. There's nothing that's going to be rendered through the render token that isn't coming from artistic or creative intent. That's the whole point of the service. So there's a lot that can be done beyond just creating great artwork and media or even video games with this technology. There's scientific simulations, light leaking simulations for architecture that can be built inside of the rendering system. And this means that you can actually perform render jobs that are useful for the sciences and for research and get rewarded at the same time. This is a great use of the blockchain and of everyone's GPU power. Our vision as a company has been to democratize compute and rendering power, and this is one of the best ways to do it. Please visit us for more progress updates on rendertoken.com and on our social media links below. We're incredibly excited about this service, and we hope you are too. Thank you so much. This is Jules Urbach signing off.
All right, another really cool thing to show you guys, obviously. Just going to go ahead and refresh this. There's a little bit more to this, obviously, and maybe at this point you do feel as though it's a deep dive, but in reality, when I do an intro, you got to keep in mind, intros are kind of like just how they should sound. I mean, hey, here's what it is, and nothing really too new in regards to, like, for you guys that are already invested into render. But yeah, later on we could do some deep dives, stuff like that. And at the end of this segment, I will give you guys a little bit more of that detailed information or news that just dropped not that long ago. All right, so we're gonna get more into this. I'm gonna share some of this with you guys right now. And again, straight from the No.Render network. Were you aware that this was first conceived all the way back in 2009? This founder that you've seen twice now in regards to these video presentations, Jules Urbach of the Render Network, held his first public token sale all the way back in October of 2017. So it's, again, some of that confidence of, like, Is this going to be a project that's just going to go away anytime soon? I don't think so. When we talk about 99% of cryptos are going to go away, I don't think render is going to be one of those ones that's going to go away. And if I'm an investor, that's what I want to hear, right? You know, my hard-earned money, don't want it to go into something that's going to be garbage. During the private sale, early adopters were onboarded onto the render beta testnet. Basically speaking, that's when beta node operators and beta creators work together with the render network team to build out and test the network. Render network launched publicly all the way back in 2020. So you think about it, you know, they had basically a good solid 3-year run of testing. And, you know, you guys know some of my background. Like, actually, today was the first day I played a video game since last January, right? But, you know, I've always been a hardcore gamer. So, like, a lot of these things that you see mentioned and so on, especially when you reference, like, Dragon's Lair and some other, video games, and talked about, for instance, what these technologies contribute to big, productions. It's like right up my alley. And so my thing is this, right? Any solid or decent game, especially a AAA game, you're looking at 1 to 2 years in regards to development. Well, if they went literally a 3-year time period to go, create this beta testnet, they were focused on creating a quality product or a quality network. And that earned my respect right there. They didn't just do it for like 3 months or 6 months. No, they wanted to work everything out. And you know what? I think a lot of people have recognized that. And I have seen on crypto Twitter people talk about that and referencing that a lot. All right, a little bit more about this. Who are they backed by, right? So Render, of course, backed by Otoy. You saw the presentation from him in that regard. It says, for instance, the Render Network team is based out of LA, is in Los Angeles, with team members located all over the globe. I mean, that's to be expected, right? We live in a day and time where, basically speaking, everybody works remotely, right? Especially after the pandemic. With a world-class advisory board boasting industry leaders such as Ari Emanuel, who is the co-founder and co-CEO, and I have a little piece from him towards the end of this, segment, if you will. But here's a big name that everybody knows about, right? J.J. Abrams. Let's face it. I mean, you ever watch Lost back in the day? Obviously, it don't just end there, right? I mean, we're talking big Hollywood productions, especially if you're into, was it the first Star Wars, or not the first Star Wars, the first sequel of the sequel trilogy, Force Awakens. Obviously, what he did, I guess, with Star Trek and so on. So my point is, like, some big names, right? J.J. Abrams is a big name. Obviously, some of these other ones are big names as well, but these names stand out. And basically, like it says, Render Network aims to bridge the gap between the graphics present and the virtual future. So when we talk about the metaverse and what ones can stand out, I think we have to include Render in regards to that, right? So he has this other one. This one's good as well. And it says, how does a Render network basically work? And you may feel as though this is a little bit of reiteration. It's not. I already went ahead and review this. But again, these visuals. So we're going to play this as well. And then we have a little bit more. And then we'll get into some of that recent news to share with you guys who might not just want to hear the intro to Render, but want to be caught more up on some of the recent news. So we got a little bit of both. Please smash that like. And here you go. A little bit more from Render.
Hi, this is Jules Verback, CEO and co-founder of Otoy. I want to talk about our roadmap for the Render network that we're building following the token launch. So the Render network is going to do something that's never been achievable before. It's a really novel approach to cryptocurrency and the blockchain, built on ultimately the value of rendering cinematic assets and virtual reality and holographic content. We feel that the Render token is a fundamental unit of currency that's going to be used everywhere throughout immersive computing and rendering in the decades to come. Traditionally, computing power, especially GPU computing power, has been centralized on the cloud or limited to a couple of nodes that you have in your office. we've actually come to the point where we don't have enough GPUs. The kinds of jobs that our users and customers are starting to do that are focused on VR and AR are tapping into huge dimensions of rendering power where the real world and the synthetic world need to match perfectly. And these jobs map to 100 times more compute power and raise than traditional movies and video game lighting required in the past. So we see the utility of the render network expanding what the cloud computing ecosystem of today offers in the era of AR, VR, and holographic content. One of the things that makes the render network possible is that the rendering that we're doing is essentially split from the application that is used to create it. The flow of render tokens go from the user or artist creating a render job to the node with users in charge of processing that specific render job. Once the job has been verified and finished through our ecosystem, the render information is sent back across the network to the original user. Everyone that contributes to that rendering power, unlike a centralized cloud service like Amazon or Google or Azure, will participate in the value and the rewards of powering this network of millions of GPUs. The render token network will also introduce a really important concept that's missing from current media and publishing pipelines, and that is creating a chain of authorship from the inception of a piece of artwork or content, including mapping multiple authors, multiple contributors into the content itself as it gets created. This is more powerful than watermarks and DRM because it ensures that the use of these assets and their value themselves are part of the blockchain and therefore validated in every possible way that is meaningful in this ecosystem. Every single asset that goes through the system is converted into a standard photon-based metric that content creators, even in combination, can assign value that flows back to them when it's used or rendered. And through other tokens, like the basic attention token, you can actually have photons mapped to ad dollars. And these kinds of networks, both inside of the rendered token system and other cryptocurrency networks, these are the computing primitives and the economy of the future. For art, for services, for knowledge, things that we can barely imagine today, the way that the pre-web world did not imagine the decentralization of compute and information in the early 90s. Please track our progress, check our social media accounts at Render Token, and follow us on Rocket Chat and Reddit. We're very excited to complete these next steps and to have you be part of this amazing future that we're all trying to build. Thank you so much. This is Jules Urbach, signing off.
All right. So, I mean, that's a while back, but I mean, one thing that you've seen consistently on all three of these videos that we've shown you so far, I don't know about you guys. Well, I should say know about you guys. I think, especially with the community we have here, you guys can get a good sense if a person's sincere and they're honest. This guy comes, I'm just going to be honest, to me comes off sincere. And another thing I really like about how he explains things, he's very passionate about this with render. Those two things are really, really cool. I mean, let's face it, right? A lot of us have kids. Some of you guys have grandkids and so on. Maybe it's hard for you to basically explain different types of cryptocurrency projects or, blockchain projects, distributed ledger technologies. And some of it just kind of sounds boring to a kid, right? Let's just be honest about that. We could talk about, hey, BTC was $69,000 and so on. To a kid, okay, cool. Hey, who doesn't want to be rich? But when you can identify with your children or grandchildren or whoever, right, and be able to show them something super cool that puts them on the same level as you, like I said, what's the connector here? What's the common thing that we can, look at and be excited about? You get that, right? Being able to show, our youth something like this and say, hey, look at this and look what they've done. And, for all we know, I mean, the kid recognizes nothing that was presented, but he sees a name like J.J. Abrams. Oh, I love, The Force Awakens, or, some of these other big Hollywood budgeted, movies, or some of these video games, obviously, and they're aspiring to be a future graphic artist and stuff like that, right? Again, you can see the level of passion, and you know what? That's a cool thing. At the end of the day, our platform is an educational platform. It's not just about news and so on. You guys know I'm a former teacher, not this year, but in the past and so on. And I love to educate. I love to share things. I love to connect things, right? And I was like, you know what? I think this is now the time to finally introduce render. Now, before we wrap things up with render, I want to share a little bit more of what we have for you guys, and if anything, give you a little more of that education, just in case you didn't know everything there is to know about render. So please smash that like. Let's get into a little bit more of what we have in regards to render. And if anything, I'm going to refresh the screen real quick. I'm going to pull this up. And basically speaking, there's just so much in that regards to mention. So I'm going to do about maybe 2 to 3 more things in regards to render. And we talked about the metaverse. Everybody's consistently talking about the metaverse, and it's like a lot of times it feels, people feel as though like these are like virtual ghost towns, right? They're not that. It's not that they're virtual ghost towns. It's just that they're not fully completed, right? I mean, the way I look at the metaverse is kind of like, the way I look at like a subdivision or, cruising down the street in my 6 Fall. Anyway, cruising down the street and, there's a certain area of town that's being developed and so on. Kind of look at the metaverse at that. It's like, you know what? It's not that this is abandoned. This is just not fully incorporated yet, right? So what about this in regards to just that, rendering the metaverse? Check this out. So number one, it has this whole inspiration by the book Life After Television. Were you aware that this was written all the way back in 1990 by who? Otoy advisor board member George Gilder. Now, Jules Urbach laid out his vision for the future in life after automation, the rendering economy. And this is a cool little segment. It doesn't have visualization, but I'm going to get right to it. So for one, in this quote, it says, a first principle in the render economy is that the resonance of authentic human thought, creativity, and imagination are the fundamental units of currency. I mean, we are talking about cryptocurrency, are we not? Our complete personal experience is a uniquely human metric by which we constantly measure qualia, what a name, or what a word, social resonance, I'll pronounce that right, and novel truth. No machine can ever do this more authentically and meaningfully than we do. Now, we talk about supply and demand. That's the bottom line. You can be investing in stocks, you could be investing in crypto, you could be investing in anything. Is there any supply and demand for that specific product or service? Well, again, if you got this with render, where they can basically, do something that's so meaningful and better than, I guess, anything else out there, I want to pay attention to that. And if anything, I might finally get into render, right? Hear me out. In a decentralized, dematerialized, and fully automated world, the flow and final evaluation of human value must never stop being a human responsibility. Now, where does the render token come into play? Check this out. The render token and the network that it encompasses are basically built to enable such a system's viability as early as possible. First, the thought, or through, I should say, massive cost savings in distributed rendering that bootstraps the render economy in its early stages. Then in subsequent phases to come, through a semantic web of value and authorship encoded in the blockchain itself. There's obviously a lot more to this and so on, but again, I like how it's worded. And in that video, he also mentioned basic attention token. Now, this is something we don't really talk about much, but every now and then somebody brings up BAT. So, in regards to that, co-creator of basic attention token and JavaScript creator and co-founder of Mozilla, remember Firefox, and also Otoy and Render Network Advisory Board member, man, that's a lot to mention, Brandon Ike, wrote in his blog post, the render token, quote, large shared AR/VR worlds cannot possibly encrypt what you see, as a DRM for fixed media tries to do, yet creators of models and art in such shared virtual worlds need effective and fair protection as experienced from Second Life shows. Now, if you remember, Second Life is a game. I tried it once. I was not a big fan. This whole concept of metaverse is nothing new, right? People have referenced Second Life multiple times. But what's also mentioned is indelible watermarking is a key part of the solution. So here's the thing. Some of you guys have experience with OpenSea and other platforms. And at the end of the day, if you have a very valuable, for instance, NFT, you don't want to get that hijacked by a malicious person who is going to take that and steal a whole bunch of yours and everybody else's work. Well, what about, especially in the metaverse? At the end of the day, metaverse is really going to stand out, especially for digital art galleries, right? We hear about it all the time. This metaverse platform, that one. I've covered Metopolis. We talked about Shiba Inus, Shibers. There's all sorts of different metaverses. But the key is, displaying that artwork or simply having something that you bought from a digital store inside that metaverse. You don't want somebody to be able to just like quickly jack that and so on. So, Gilbert Verdi in a quant talks about the trust layer and also creating that internet of value. Render hits both areas, the security side of that with the watermarking, and especially when it comes to, this want and need of a utilization of being able to, no pun intended, render valuable things that you're going to see obviously in the metaverse. Goes on to mention this thing about BAT real quick. He says he's honored to be advisor to Otoy and Render. They're thrilled with the prospects for both Render and BAT, as in basic attention token, and other domain-specific tokens that will bind the metaverse economy into a coherent and equitable yet decentralized whole. The future will be tokenized. Yeah, we've already seen the future be tokenized. Now, earlier we talked about J.J. Abrams. There's one more reference in regards to him. It says this vision of a truly decentralized and open metaverse is what connected Otoy to many other leaders in the 3D and entertainment industry, including Star Wars director and Otoy and Render advisor board member J.J. Abrams. I mean, God, we talk about key partnerships or key people. It's not who you know, not what you know, but who you know. This is the perfect example of that. And here's the quote from J.J. Abrams, and we'll jump into the next thing. As technology continues to become democratized, here at CTN, we always talk about, data democratization, period, especially when it comes to distributed ledger technologies. But again, as technology continues to become democratized, including the sort of remarkable results you can get with Octane, more diverse and unique stories will be told. Worlds familiar and extraordinary will be created and distributed in ways that could not have been imagined a decade ago. Now, another thing I love about this is this. So I will mention these honorable ones, and you may think this has nothing to do with it, but this is a good example. So one key thing that was mentioned from this guy that's from obviously Render Network and Otoy, the CEO, if you will, he specifically mentions that like a kid who comes into this whole thing of what Render Network provides, and this kid or whoever, doesn't necessarily have to be a kid, doesn't have to learn a bunch of coding. Now, what's one thing we always mention here at CTN? Stellar Network, right? Basically Sorbonne, like, you have devs coming over to the network. They don't have to learn all sorts of brand new coding languages. Again, a very attractive network to come on and to build on. We talk about graphic artists. We talk about people who are literally going to want to jump into this. This seems very exciting. They identify, somebody's like, J.J. Abrams and so on. So the point is, again, the ease of use coming into a platform that doesn't require so much lines of code. We talk about Quant Network, Gilbert Verdi talking about 3 lines of code, if that, right? So one consistent thing is distributed ledger technologies, whether it's Quant Network through Overledger, Stellar, for instance, with Sorbonne, and now you have this thing with Render. You can understand how it all comes together, because you know something? There's going to be ones that really stand out in metaverse. Here is your big one, in my opinion, that stands out in that regard. Now, is this a great investment? I think it could very well be. Is it going to be something that's like a 10 or 100x? That I don't know. But what I do know is if we base things off of the previous all-time highs for Render, well, at minimum, I'm looking at like a 10x. Now, is this going to be worth a heck of a lot more than what was in the past? Yes. The way I look at it is a simple yes. And the reason why I want to state that it's a simple yes is because the way I look at it is, do you have fully completed metaverse platforms with mass adoption? Some people will say, yes, that exists as we speak. Some people are going to say, you have, for instance, the Sandbox, you have Decentraland. Those are good examples. But when we talk about quality rendered ray tracing, level material, are those big time ray tracing, visuals on your screen, photorealistic images? No, they are not. And I'm not bashing those platforms. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we have kids that play, obviously like Roblox, and they play, for instance, Minecraft, and they're cool with those types of graphics. Sometimes at the end of the day, it's not all about graphics, it's about gameplay. But for this platform to have what they got going on, especially this connector to like J.J. Abrams, yeah, ways you couldn't have possibly imagined a decade ago becoming reality now and innovating from there. You have all these other examples about, gaming, virtual reality. I'm very familiar with Quake, Doom. I mean, a lot of us grew up with these games. But the key thing is, these are some big, big names that they are connected to, and some big people that they're connected to. Now, getting into the closing parts of what we have for our long outline at this point, let's face it, it's supposed to be intro. I don't know, maybe we got a bad habit of just doing this. I wanted to bring you this information in regards to something that was reported literally today, September 1st. So it says, did you know Oscar winner John Knoll, creator of Adobe Photoshop, and I use Photoshop, right? I use Photoshop to make my thumbnails that I bring to you guys, and VFX supervisor for ILM on Star Wars, Star Trek, and even Pirates of the Caribbean, was the first Who render customer. Yeah. I'm not going to make that face. People say, Max, I like you. I'm not making that face. Don't make that face. I'm not going to make the face. There's the face. Throwback to Jules Urbeck at Solana Breakpoint 2021. This is only a minute and a half. Please smash that like, especially if you're like, oh yeah, I love me some render. Here we go.
So our very first commercial job on the Render Network when we launched was John Knoll. He created Photoshop. He's the head of ILM, and he did a job for the Hayden Planetarium on Render, and basically was the first person to tell us this product is amazing and we love it.
Welcome back to the Star Wars Show Live. I am joined now by Chief Visual Effects Supervisor and Chief Creative Officer of ILM, Mr. John Knoll. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Super. Yeah.
As other college kids were doing keg stands, one PhD student named Thomas Knoll began writing a program to display grayscale images on a monochrome screen. Meanwhile, his brother, John Knoll, was working at ILM. He realized that digital painting would be the future of visual effects, and he convinced Thomas to turn this idea into a fully fledged image editing program. To Thomas Knoll, John Knoll, and Mark Hamburger, the Academy presents the Scientific and Engineering Award for their work on Adobe Photoshop. Come on up, guys.
Say what you want. It is kind of inspiring, right? And it's cool. A lot of times we present a lot of this stuff. We talk about cross-border payments all the time. We're blue in the face. You know what? We need to have something a little bit different for a change, right? And maybe, if anything, this presentation in regards to render is long overdue. Now, we're almost done in regards to what we have. I want to present to you guys just a little bit more of what we have for you tonight. And on this one, this comes from the same guy, but it's in regards to somebody that you may be familiar with, or maybe not. And I'm going to share this again in closing with you guys. So basically speaking, this is a quick little segment. And shout out to this guy named Diffusion. He can be followed at Diffusion_X. I think I'll give him a follow because I want to follow a little bit more about render. And I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm probably looking to get into this, not exactly like tomorrow or anything, or today. But there's a few on my short list, and I think render really does stand out. So check this out. The AI compute market will all boil down to tokens per second. We talk about this, TPS, a different form of TPS, right? Transactions per second, but tokens per second? That sounds kind of odd. GPUs, essentially, in the case of render, you're basically displacing an AWS. Well, we all know about Amazon Web Services and so on, but, is this the same thing? Should we just go ahead and play this? Yeah. This guy, of course, says 1,000 plus render is programmed. Like the crazy things being mentioned, right? To each his own. But is there a real solid opportunity here? I think there is. At the end of the day, there's other opportunities when it comes to blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. It doesn't have to be all strictly, cross-border stuff. We talk about that again till we're blue in the face, and we have. But we should always recognize other opportunities. And a lot of times we've covered other projects, whether it's tokenization of agriculture with Demotra or render or you name it, right? So I'm glad to kind of get out of the box, if you will, and present to you guys something a little bit different. And of course, you guys have requested this for a while. Let's go ahead and play this, and we'll show you the bottom part, and we'll close this out in regards to our render coverage. Please smash that like. Here we go.
But Chamat is talking about render. Now, listen to the clues here, because you can see that Chamat has a very, very, very deep knowledge of what render does. He doesn't just know the surface level. He actually knows a lot about what render does.
GPUs, essentially. In both of those things, you can quantifiably, economically measure what the value is that people get, right? In the case of render, you're basically displacing an AWS instance. And so that has a price and a value. And so, for render to be valuable, there's an economic value that it replaces.
But Chamat is talking about render. Now,
excuse me. So just real quick, I want to talk about that, right? So bottom line is we talk about a price and a value. What's one thing we always mention with our Ripple XRP coverage? There's got to be a tremendous amount of price and value for what they're doing with these central banks and so on, right? We talk about Stellar, we talk about Quant, all that stuff, right? It has to have a high value, and people who flood it, they don't get it. They didn't do proper research. I'm not looking to day trade some of this stuff. And if I was going to be invested into render, I'm just stating it'll be a long-term buy and hold for me. Now, the final part of what you didn't see at the bottom of the little clip that was shared is basically this, and this will close it out for sure this time. And this is actually from the person you saw interviewed, who is the guy in that short clip, Chamath. I can't pronounce the last name, but anyway, 1.6 million followers, CEO of Social Capital. Who are they? You may be wondering about. And also, Social Capital, Bestie, the all-in pod, if you will. But anyway, yes, I mean, I see even Selma Fudd follows this guy. Shout out to Selma Fudd. Blackwood follows this guy. So, there's quite a few guys who follow this guy. So obviously you're probably render holders, right? Are you not? All right, so check this out. It says, if you were trying to figure out whether to buy NVIDIA or not, consider the below. Now, I'll be honest, I should have invested into NVIDIA stock years ago. Not financial advice, but let's just face it, that was a premier stock, and if anything, probably still is going to be. It says, when Web 2 exploded in the late 2000s, Amazon Web Services was principally responsible for arming the rebels. They offered startups compute like EC2 and storage S3 in bite-sized pieces we could pay for with a credit card. As a result, 1,000 flowers bloomed. This will happen for AI compute clusters. And as it does, a few things should basically happen. For one, startups won't care what chips are used. And again, if you guys are into some of this terminology, you understand this. But A100, H100, Grok, etc. Number two, CUDA lock-in will be broken. Number three, foundational model diversity will emerge. If all gets basically sussed out, it's generally good for incumbent revenues, but generally bad for incumbent enterprise values, for example, like Cisco in the early 2000s. It's also very good for emerging disruptors like Grok Inc. Now, if you wonder who they are a US-based AI solutions company offering a kernel-less compiler and novel language processor built for ultra-fast inference at scale. If I know anything about it, some of this stuff, which I mean I do, if I don't know all of it, I know this much. To make a statement about something being kernel-less in an environment that's all about kernels, okay, if you know some of this terminology, that is game changer. He helped, of course, this company get off the ground 8 years ago. He's also one of their largest external shareholders. He expects startups like, excuse me, Grok Inc. to push the market aggressively towards super cheap transactions. They should show that they can drive massive throughout lowest relative cost. I said transactions, I mean tokens per second, excuse me. They should show that, yeah, they can drive, with that relative low cost. The cloud providers will then do the rest. Now, this part about the cloud providers, I didn't have a chance to get more into this, but I guess you could say this is some of the juicy stuff. So we saw earlier on this outline about the whole thing of what Render has, in regards to this partnership, if you will, to basic attention token, BAT. Another thing I would like to mention is how all these key players come together, if you will. And, one of the key things I want to mention also is this part about the cloud providers. Like, why is that so significant? Well, if you think about this, I saw another piece and I wasn't able to verify it, but it specifically referenced Render and shout out to Tim Shea, and that is Flux. Now, we do know, based off of the material, that they got this thing going on with, cloud storage and so on. I mean, obviously, if you're rendering, no pun intended, but rendering a lot of this, right? You're making clips, you're making videos. It could be a short clip, it could be a long video, whatever the case be. You do have to have some form of a storage provider. So Flux does make sense. Why would that make sense? Flux, compared to like what you saw also on the outline, compared to Amazon Web Services, is significantly cheaper, like 90% or more cheaper than going with Google Cloud Services or Amazon Web Services, right? So I do think that based off of what I saw, is a solid thing there. Right? I'm just going to go ahead. I hate to be speculative, but yeah, that makes sense. They definitely got something going on with Flux. Now, with that said, think about this for a second. Key partnerships with these alliances with basic attention token, like it was shown before, obviously Flux and so on. What does that do for you as the token holder, like somebody like Tim Shea who holds Flux? Creates what? That much more supply and demand, because if you have a premier metaverse platform, which you do here, not platform, but what they provide to the metaverse, and boy, oh boy, apparently they provided something massive in regards to metaverse. Well, doesn't that create that much more demand for the asset of the storage solution of like Flux? So again, understanding partnerships that help fuel that drive of creating more supply and more demand for other particular digital assets that you hold, like Flux. So win-win all across the board. Let me know what you guys think in regards to all this, in regards to Render. Do you feel as though it's solid? Is it a long-term hold for you? And if anything, when you educate maybe your kid, grandchildren, you name it, are you talking about boring BTC, or are you talking about something fun and exciting that they can connect to you with, for instance, what Render has going on? Let me know what you guys thought in regards to this introduction, and would you like us to cover more of Render? Please smash that like. Let's kick it back to the comments, and I'm glad to finally bring you this introduction to Render. Only took 3 or 4 months, right? I understand. All right, let's get back to what we have in the comments. Let's double check the other screen real quick. And let's see here. We're welcoming a few more of you guys. Magic Power says Kana Labs is holding a leading position in the Web3 and blockchain infrastructure industry. They are an innovative company that works actively to decipher the complexities of the DeFi and GameFi ecosystems. Interesting, Magic Power. Thank you for that information. All right. I'm glad everybody's welcome. Mr. OG Crypto, Mr. Gangsta. Thank you for being here. Mr. OG. And I'm just going to turn on a little bit more of the branding before we play like another video or something like that. All right. So let's see here. Boomer F and Sooner, the one and only. If anybody's asleep right now, time to wake up. Because I'm just going to call it out right now. And that is Mr. Boomer F and Sooner. Thank you. He says Jasmy will be his number 2. Wow. Big Dave, welcome back, man. He says it's the juicy stuff. Thank you. Finishing your work. OG Crypto, did you get a 3-day weekend? Did you? I hope you were able to get a 3-day weekend. And if you have to work on Labor Day, hopefully whatever job or company you work for gives you time and a half at the very least, right? All right. Big Dave is saying hello. Glad to have you here. Brian Dowie says, they're lost, Max. Good luck, bro. Well, I saw from Jesse that he felt as though I was probably going to get on the second round, so it's okay, you know. But if I am going to be suppressed where I can only say certain things, I will respectively reject being the ambassador. I want to be able to freely cover what I want to cover, you know what I mean? But we'll see. All right, Boomer F and Sooner saying hello to Dave. We also have AZ Marine Sniper. Welcome back. Bought some more quant today. I got a sliver of it the other day, and I was thankful for that. Thank you so much to all those for your support. But yeah, let's welcome AZ Marine Sniper. It looks like you guys are doing that. Sup, Teach? How's your pop? He is resting in the hospital. The sad thing is he was in so much pain yesterday. They had to give him morphine. So yeah, they gave him morphine, and his heart was racing. He's just been through a lot, man. I mean, in and out of the hospital 10 times since October of 2022. That's too many times, you know. Comes back, maybe he's here for a month and a half. Then he has to go back in the hospital for like 3 weeks or something like that. He comes back, he's here for like a month and a half, 2 months. Something happens back in there. I try my best to watch him like a hawk all the time, but you know, it's one of those things, man. I just hope that this next time around with his rehab, they can have him like do some squats, but not where it hurts his knee. I mean, it's tough. I mean, it's hard. You know, they're not miracle workers. You know, physical therapists and occupational, they're not miracle workers. I mean, my dad has got to be wanting to do it too, but I don't know. I can understand his frustration. I just try to be a good son and help my dad out as much as I can. That's all I can do. So I love him. He's my dad. So yeah. All right, let's see here. AZ Marine Sniper has got the moon thing going on. That's cool. Boomer Reference Center says Quant be my number 1. I'm telling you flat out, man. There's some things I just wish I could share. And I know that there's some other content creators that say, yeah, I got some insider information, blah, blah. But I'm telling you flat out, Quant Papa, I asked him, I said, how the heck did you, I'm not allowed to say any of this stuff, right? He sent me some things earlier. But I did ask him, I said, how in the world did you come upon this information? And he said it was from many years of trust, developing trust in their little inner network or whatever. And I was just like, so I'm going to send him a message later on and be like, thank you so much once again for this information that you've given me. Too bad I can't share it. But can you give me anything that I can share? Because at the end of the day, I am trying to give you guys some of that material, and it ain't going to sound great. You know, oh, hey, here's me bragging about what I can't share. Who cares about that? But the thing is this, for those who are in the know, like him, who know what Quant has got going on and so on, oh my gosh. Like, when I state that I have got to stack more Quant, that is no BS. My goal is 200 QNT. I'm not to 100 yet, but my new goal is 200 QNT. And if that ends up taking me a while to get to that, that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up over like, you know, hey, I wasn't able to buy, you know, 140 QNT for, you know, $97 and so on, right? Like some people can do that. Some people can't. I'm going to be thankful that I was able to DCA into QNT numerous times and get to my goals that I need to have. As the saying goes, we will all be eventually priced out of quant. And when big FOMO money comes in, just like BTC, guys, let's just be real about it. You know, it'll be the same type of situation. People will be buying little slivers or fractions of QNT. The opportunity is to recognize what you're trying to focus on stacking when it comes to this accumulation phase. And let's just be honest, this phase will eventually come to an end. You may feel as though, God, man, this is the longest crypto winter we ever had. Want to know something else? Have we not learned anything when it comes to consolidation? And shout out to who? Legrand Commission. He probably knows it better than anybody when it comes to that. He's even done a video about it. You know that Legrand Commission has done a video? Yes, he did talk about some of this stuff. That was one video that I think we shared a while back. And you know what else? Something? There's something to be said, and XDC is a great example about sideways consolidation. And we're in like one of the longest crypto winters, if not the longest crypto winter. What is going to happen when this accumulation phase ends? What's going to happen when the ETFs get approved? What's going to happen when you have all that institutional money coming in? You guys already know what's going to happen. I don't have to hype it up any more than anything else. You guys already know. This is where you come up with the statements of the bull market. This will be the final bull market because this is going to be the first ever utility run. If it's the first ever utility run and we have big institutional money, the BlackRocks, the Vanguards, the State Streets, all that, they are not going to get involved in a volatile market. They're just not going to do that. It has to have a high secured level of, stable value, right? So what does that mean for us? Well, the way I look at it is what it means for us is to recognize who these bigger players are involved with, and that's what we cover almost all the time here. So I'm not going to preach to the choir. You know where we're going with this. But I am happy to see that QNT will be your number one. And I'm also happy to see that a lot of you guys are recognizing the sales, and if anything, you're taking advantage of that and so on, right? We all learn from our previous experiences. Let's face it, for a lot of us, it was meme tokens a few years ago. We have progressed. We have learned so much more compared to then, Anyway. All right, Brian Dowie, I got connections and corrections, but doesn't help me most of the time. All right. Magic Power. It could be that there's a token exchange because of the new Jasmy chain. Yeah, I'm going to cover that here in a second. Or I should say second, but towards the end of the Jasmy coverage we have, we'll show you what Jesse of KIR Finance, Keeping It Real Finance has to share. On his segment or on his channel, it says Keeping It Real Finance or KIR Finance, Keeping It Real since 1982. Well, shout out to him. I've been keeping it real since 1981. And if you're a boomer F and sooner, you've been keeping it real since, I don't know. I forgot how long you've been around. I think, you know what? Maybe you're 10 years older than me. So if it's 81 for me, is it 71 or 72 for you? Something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, shout out to Boomer F and Sooner. Boomer F and Sooner. All right, let's also recognize the clean slate who's in the house. You remind me of Jasmine's key partner, Morphia, or Morphia. I don't know. We have a segment about that. With the digital identity with your, with your veins. That's what your avatar reminds me of. That's kind of cool. Let's welcome Clean Slate. Let's also, of course, welcome AZ Marine Sniper. If we haven't done so already. Calvin the Fifth. Calvin 5, he's got a cool looking avatar. Hopefully that's not of Saitama. I'm just saying. I mean, yeah, I'm investing in Saitama, but not because I'm proud of that. I mean, a lot of us are still investing in Saitama. We just hold it forever, hoping that we could break even. And anyway. Corbin O, XRP and Jasmy. Yes, thank you, Corbin O. Welcome. Consider change your avatar. Something speaks more about who you are and what you're about. We'll get into our Jasmy coverage here in a bit. Been waiting for is Max going to talk about Jasmy? How come he's not starting off at the beginning and so on? I don't know. Today I was just like, I got to do some render. But yeah, our Jasmine coverage is here in a bit. And yeah, XRP and Jasmine from Corbin O. Consider, again, changing your avatar like you saw from Calvin the 5th or Calvin 5. But guys, let's welcome Corbin O. I'm glad to see you're into XRP and Jasmine. All right, we're also going to welcome Bobby. Hi, Max, and everyone. Welcome back, Bobby. Boom. And I see you gave me a dab. You gave everybody dabs. Thank you very much. Brian, I'm going to not BS you because I don't BS when it comes to this stuff. I either know it or I don't. And, anybody can see that a mile away. Thoughts on XRP Plus? I don't have thoughts. I have to look more into that. You state that there's the biggest developers from the XRPL are working on. Okay, that's a big deal, but you don't understand it enough. Okay, XRP Plus. Let me see what I can put down on that one. Okay, XRP Plus. I'll try to look more into that, my friend. All right, let's see here. We also got Corey Bibe. He states Stellar leads the way in tokenization. Franklin Templeton, yes. Wisdom Tree, 300 million plus in digital funds. And knowing that, you like the idea that you see actual real apps, that Wisdom Tree app going live and actually being able to use that to pay for bills or buy groceries, you name it. That's change your stuff. When we talk about, will there be a platform that literally stands out for just the regular person? Right? When we talk about cryptocurrency, like I always mention, Stellar stands out. Dragon Slayer. Yeah. I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of frustrating at the same time, but anyway. All right. Corey Bive states Stellar has emerged as a strong contender in tokenized treasuries, outperform ETH and Polygon. Good point. Let's welcome the one and only Mr. Badir, aka Crypto Winner, aka Hump, not Dump. And always remember that the Humpty dance is your chance, especially if you're going to jump on or behind a giant gorilla statue in the middle of some other place that's outside of New York, apparently. I forgot what that was. Anyway, inside joke. Glad to have you here, Mr. Badir. We also got Cash Cats in the house. Thank you. Always good to see you, Cash. And we have Chanchhoodle 2010. Just came in here to like the vid. I'm at work, unfortunately, can't watch live, but we'll watch live. All you guys who watch your replays, like T Lins, who else is it? I don't think he's here tonight, but Stardog. I want to give a shout out to Alec, he's got the XRP avatar. Alec, if you're watching on the replay, all you guys that watch our replays, you guys rock. Okay. That means you like the content. That means the world to me, thank you so much. All right. We got the one and only April Cornwall. She said, hey. How did you enjoy your steak, April? And what did you have to go with your steak? You have baked potato? Yeah, mashed potatoes, right? Want to know something? I'm going to have to make you guys some mashed potatoes and gravy in the future. When we have our future meetups and stuff like that, you guys are going to enjoy some Maximus mashed potatoes and gravy. I always joke around, like boil it, mash it, stick it in a stew. There might be a little something to that, right? Everybody loves my mashed potatoes and gravy. It's nothing super like technical or anything like that, but I've been told, I've had requested numerous times that people like my mashed potatoes and gravy. Teach them. I honestly think there's probably better mashed potatoes and gravy out there, but I'll make you guys some mashed potatoes and gravy, right? But let me know. Do you have a baked potato to go with your steak? Sometimes I'll just like a good baked potato with sour cream and butter and, maybe some chives or something to go with my my steak and so on. And another weird thing I kind of do, I basically got this from my dad. And some people may think this is gross. I don't know. But sometimes I'll take some A1 sauce, or I'll take some Heinz 57 sauce, and I'll pour a little bit in my potato, and I'll mix it with the butter, and I'll mix it with the sour cream, put some salt and pepper. You don't knock it until you try it. It's actually pretty good. Anyway. All right. Happy birthday or early birthday to your dad. Thanks, April. September 6th, he'll be 89, which is this coming Wednesday. My best friend, Mike Wool, who watches our show once in a while, He just turned 39 today. So anyway, we got a lot of birthdays coming up. Happy birthday in advance to anybody whose birthday is, their birthday, right? I mean, we all have birthdays. There's 365 days in a year. So if we have 365 people watching, I mean, I imagine like there'd be a few birthdays. Anyway. All right. Let's welcome Sammy from Alabama. Sammy, I got to be honest, man. You got to get yourself if you're like a Roll Tide fan, University of Alabama, Crimson Tide, you got to get yourself a custom avatar, man. We can have a nice little friendly rivalry, between you and Mr. Boomer Afasuder, right? Get some SEC rivalry going on or something. Anyway. Moontime, XRP, and XLM, and Jasmy, and HBAR, and Quant. Yes. All of those. You were with me on this. All right. So 3, 4, 5. All these ones you mentioned are in my top 5, but Quant and XRP are tied for my number 1. The only one you didn't have here that's part of my number 5 or my top 5 is XDC, but that's okay. Let's welcome Sammy from Alabama. We'll read one more comment because, we did have a render segment, and then we'll get into the Jasmine here in a bit. What NVIDIA is to stock market, render is to the crypto market. If render falls below 50 cents, then this is the opportunity to become a millionaire. That's a great point. Wow, but you want to know something? I don't see that, man. I mean, right now as we speak, render, where are we at in render? $1.33. I mean, that would be a massive fall in market cap, the overall market, for that to tank like that. But not to say it can't happen. Rick Cogswell, 7:27 p.m. Now 7:49, roughly about 20 minutes ago, so not too far ago. Says, what's AI? Artificial intelligence. Unless you're trying to say what's up, but whatever the case be. Rick, glad to see you, man. Shout out to you. And I believe you said it was your wife that's from Cebu, so shout out to her. Good people from the Philippines. There's good and bad everywhere, but there's a lot of good people from the Philippines. It's one thing I always noticed, and maybe you noticed as well. So when I was a kid, even a few years ago before my mom got sick, excuse me, and that is, don't get me wrong, there's different nationalities where hey, my fellow Puerto Rican, hey, my fellow, I don't know, Fijian or whatever, right? There's all sorts of cliques, but something about the Filipinos, it's like if you're a fellow Filipina, a fellow Filipino, it's like you're all family. Like, no joke. I never seen a case where my mom could go somewhere to a grocery store, and it's not like the Asian supermarket or anything like that, and instantly become friends with a complete stranger she's never met, and they talk and they exchange phone numbers, and the next thing you know, like the next weekend, we're over at that person's place, and they have this great big, a bunch of food, like freaking what's it called? Lechon. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but the fried crispy pork, right, from a young piglet, if you will. I'm telling you guys flat out, that's another thing we got to have in the future, celebration meetup or whatever, right? We got to have a Filipino style roasted piglet. Don't knock it till you try it, man. You think you've had fresh bacon? You don't even know what fresh pork belly or bacon is until you've had that. Oh my God. Like, you want to talk about, you guys talk about like food crack or something like that. This is the ultimate. All right. Rick, you probably can relate to what I'm talking about, my friend. But anyway, glad to have you here, Rick. Shout out to you. Thank you for your ongoing support, and especially being here, this Labor Day weekend with us and so on. Just to give you guys a heads up, there will not be a show on Labor Day. Max is taking 3 days off. In reality, I mean, I'm still going to work over the weekend, but I'm not going to look to do a show on Monday. I got some other things I want to be able to do on that day, but I will not be with you guys. So while you're enjoying your time and so on, maybe that's disappointing, but yeah, I'm not going to be here with you guys on Monday. So yes, I will have a 3-day weekend to a degree. All right, just a couple more comments. Let's also welcome Cody Core. That's everything. Thank you again for setting up that thing with Mr. Teddy Ganja. Thank you very much for that. Michael Santiago, Max, why you are a quant maxi? I'm not a quant maxi. I'm into 50 different projects. All right. But I'm stacking the living hell out of quant. So let's just get that straightened out. Okay. No offense. So why are you a quant maxi when it comes to coins that are interoperable with other chains? I am not. All right. I'm invested into quant, XRP, XLM, XTC, Jasmy, HBAR, Polygon, you name it, right? 50 different projects. Okay. I literally reinvest. I turned 10K into 120K in 2021. And out of that, I reinvested 76K into crypto. So, I mean, if I'm really a maxi, then I would have just done one specific one out of that. And you know what, something? That 76,000 I reinvested, yeah, I got wrecked on a lot of stuff, okay? But on some things I didn't. So I recognize the power of the DCA is also still part of that learning thing. But that's okay. If you didn't know that, you didn't know that. I don't mean no offense. All right, so let's see here. Let's also welcome Stump Writer. Welcome. Michael Santiago says you should make another video about WASPay because it's extremely undervalued. I will not. Sorry. I'm not looking to cover WASPay anymore. I hope you guys do absolutely awesome on WASPay. And I have no disrespect towards WASPay, but for personal reasons, I will not cover WASPay anymore due to some information that I got from the pipeline. I'm not allowed to say what that is. And I think it will do well. I'm not comfortable with covering WASPay going further. And again, guys, I wish you all the very best. And please don't take that the wrong way. Okay? Thank you. All right. Let's see here. Thank you for your prayers. I really do appreciate it. OJ Crypto, don't forget to smash the like. Thank you very much for that. If I skipped anybody, I wasn't trying to do so on purpose. Sounds like you were a great son. I try to be, but being a caregiver is really hard. It's a job in itself. You know, I mean, you have to be a housekeeper. You have to be the gopher guy. You have to be the scheduler, the appointment person. You have to, you know, you guys, if you ever done it, yeah, this is where it seems to be cool to be the only child. But in reality, if you're the only child and your parents get old and they didn't set up something in which, you know, for whatever reason, right? Like they didn't get to experience their retirement going to the moon or anything. This is where it's like, it's literally all on you, man. And you also got to keep in mind, we have no family that lives here in Arizona. It's just me and my dad. So literally it's all on me. I'm not complaining, but that's just, hey, reality is reality. A lot of us have harsh realities. That's my reality. But you want to know something? I try to make it the best I possibly can. You know what I mean? I try to make it a good environment where, you know, if he's up and about, you know what? I'm going to make you something that you enjoy, a good breakfast or a lunch or dinner, or I'm going to turn on a program that you like or something like that. At the end of the day, I mean, we don't know how much time we have with, you know, our loved ones. My dad's old enough to be my grandfather. I'm 42. He's going to be 89 in 6 days. So, you know, my mom was his second marriage, and, you know, I'm thankful that he met my mom. If he didn't meet my mom, I would not be here. And I truly believe that it's a miracle in itself when it comes to like unique situations. I don't know. I have a saying that goes with some of my other friends. We had like deep thought about some of this stuff. And that sounds crazy. You know, like I have one friend who did a debate with me. Is just like, no, you still would have spawned up somewhere. It just wouldn't have been like exactly you. You would have been like, you know, instead of like your last name being Stanley, you would have been like, you know, Fernandez or something. I'm like, you want to know something? Is that me? No. Like, this is me. So that was a miracle in itself. Like, you know, the way I look at it, I did not spawn into this world until 1,981 years after Christ, to a sense. Get what I'm saying? I didn't spawn in the Dark Ages. I didn't spawn in the freaking medieval times or ancient Rome or whatever, right? I just truly believe that everybody's a unique person, and that's that person. You know, if kind of like Back to the Future to a sense. I mean, you know, Marty McFly, if his parents don't hook up, is it Marty McFly? No, it's not Marty McFly. It's not him. You know, that's the way I kind of look at it. It's like, you know, this guy you see on the screen, it's not me. It's just nothing, right? It's just not here. But anyway, I'm not gonna get into some crazy debate. All right. Let's just do like maybe a couple more comments. I'm sorry. And the future of finance, Max. That's a good point. Tennessee EcoMan says, go Vols. All right. So we are going to use this as a bookmark. Let's get into what we have for the Jasmy. We're an hour and 40 minutes into the show. Please smash that like. We are currently at 48 likes at the moment. And basically speaking, we could use some more likes, but it's okay. Kind of weird attendance, and that's just how it is with lots of fear in the market. Okay. So we shared quite a bit with you guys in regards to render, obviously. A lot of detailed information about render. Glad to bring that to you guys. All right, let's share some information in regards to Jasmy with you. Smash that like for some Jasmy. This comes straight from the one and only NeoX Tricks, and I'm going to continuously share a lot of things from him. For one, I appreciate his content. He's a deep dive type person with research. And then I like to also show you like some of the things I've gathered as well. So you guys are already accustomed to how we do things here at CTN when it comes to our coverage, whether it's Jasmy, Quant, XLM, some of the other deep dives that we do. So Mr. Morita, right? CSO Jasmy, like he says, we know he invented Felica, all right? No, not by Felicia. Why it would be perfect. Now hear this out for a second. He makes a good point here. Power consumption ideal for Internet of Things. It reduces blockchain transactions for better performance. Its ability to manage many devices makes it a perfect choice for IoT at scale. This is what I love. I love to see another researcher who just doesn't post the typical stuff. No offense to some people, but like sometimes I just want to post like, okay, here's what the Fibonacci retracement line is doing, blah, blah, blah. Am I into Jasmy on the short term? Am I into Jasmy for day trading? Or am I into Jasmy for that long-term hold for generational wealth? Yeah, you better believe I'm holding it long-term. But one thing that we consistently covered here is scalability. Like when we talked about, that layer 2 solution through centrality. And then, in the future, for instance, Quant, is that a real thing? Could that happen? Well, say what you want. Hyperledger Fabric supported through interoperability with the Quant network through Overledger. Just got to throw that out. We're going to go ahead and play this. He did a really good job on this 2-minute and 20-second clip. And then I'm going to take you to why we're even pointing this out. So smash that like. And again, thank you to NeoX Tricks for the information. Here we go.
Highly populated urban areas, particularly in Asia, require high-performance, secure, and flexible smart card systems. Felica contactless smart card technology meets such mission-critical requirements. Now let's take a look at Sony's Felica technology. Felica technology has been standardized internationally under ISO IEC 18092. Which is the basis of Near-Field Communication, NFC. The specifications of NFC technologies, including Felica, are developed by the NFC Forum. A Felica card consists of an antenna and an IC chip incorporating a CPU. The power for the IC card is supplied by the radio waves emitted from the reader-writer. And contactless communication with the card is executed through the electromagnetic field. Let's now take a look at the 4 key features of Felica technology. With conventional smart cards, access to locked files requires multiple mutual authentications with each individual file key. With Felica, however, simultaneous access to multiple files is enabled by a single mutual authentication with the group key. Felica provides high-speed, reliable, and seamless contactless communication for the service provider's efficient operation and convenience for the users. Felica provides a tree structure of areas and data blocks, which correspond to folders and files on PCs.
All right, so just giving you that little quick gist real quick. I'm going to show you guys a little bit more in regards to this. All right, and here's the next 2 minutes of this. This plays, of course, from Neo X Tricks. Give me a second. Pull this up on the screen. So on this one, like he says, Felica offers a complete solution for management in the IoT. It secures identifiers, simplifies payments between devices, and provides traceability of physical assets, thus improving. I'm sure they thought about it for Jasmy Chain Layer 2. Yeah, absolutely. Glad that he sees it as well. Let's share this with you guys, because you want to know something? Anything about Jasmy with Sony, like, I'm all over that. I'm sure you guys are all over that too. Let's play this. Here we go.
Which correspond to folders and files on PCs. The keys and access rights can be set separately for these areas and data blocks, enabling multiple applications for various service providers on a single card. By using Felica's unique group key mechanism generated from each file key, interoperability can be achieved within a single card without passing the raw key to another company. In the public infrastructure, adopting higher security technologies is important to protect users from various risks. Felica's standard IC chip is the world's first contactless smart card chip to acquire the high security level of EAL6+ Common Criteria certification for composite products based on ISO IEC 15408. Felica can be incorporated into a variety of form factors, such as key fobs, wristbands, and coin-type tokens, while maintaining high speed and communication performance. Since 2004, Felica technology has been incorporated into mobile phones in Japan. These days, Felica is built into Android smartphones and iPhones that are used globally, and its use is expanding in Asia. As you can see, Felica has unique capabilities and meets the demands of the market. Sony will continue to support your smart card business to create a new lifestyle and foster a range of applications through Felica.
All right, that was obviously pretty cool, for him to piece that together, right? Obviously, we have more to it than just what you saw. And basically speaking, there's this other guy, because we're talking about this whole concept of layer 2 solutions. And we'll get back into the whole Felica segment here in a bit. So this guy, who is Mena Laguar, he apparently follows me, so I'm gonna give him a follow back. Why not? So let me come back in the frame, and basically, like you said, regarding Jasmy Chain Layer 2 and carbon emissions, he found a company who's building in secret that has possibly revolutionary tech for blockchain. Guess overlaps will be in carbon credit market. And then one thing we want to point this out is, yeah, it might not be directly connected to Jasmy, but you get the idea about what they're trying to accomplish, especially with, Jasmy talked about some of these things about, carbon credits and so on. So, a lot of talk about all these new possibilities for this layer 2 solution, especially with Jasmy making their own blockchain. So I'm going to go ahead and play this. This one's only about 2.5 minutes, but, the point is, like what it's mentioned, right? Devio Inc. To all the layer 1s still trying to solve challenges like speed, flexibility, and interoperability, Devio just did that, right? Basically speaking. So we're going to play this as well, and then we'll jump back into the whole thing with Felica here in a bit. Please smash that like.
Where the internet enabled the transfer of data, blockchain enables the transfer of value. The ability to transfer digital value makes blockchain technology arguably one of the single greatest breakthroughs in computing. However, since its inception, it's been severely limited in speed, scale, and scope, making it impossible for enterprise businesses to harness its true value. But all that's about to change. Meet DevX. Up until now, the current architecture of Layer 1 blockchains has been a single main net that records all of the data created by its users on a single chain. This means there is only one path where all transactions must flow, leading to congestion and added cost. DevX, however, is an entirely new type of blockchain. Thousands of independent blockchains or shards exist on the DevX network. These shards can instantly connect through our highly secure cross-shard mechanism. So when, for example, Alice sends Bob a payment, it's actually traveling instantly from the shard Alice's wallet is located on, directly to Bob's wallet on his separate blockchain. The DevX cross-shard connection creates the path between the two wallets in an instant, with state-of-the-art security. It also creates consensus with all other shards. This innovative design means that a wallet can be held in any shard across the world, be used for any purpose, and nearly instantly settle with any other wallet at a fraction of the cost of other blockchains. DevX's unique architecture provides a flexibility and speed not achievable on other Layer 1s. For example, when it's time to scale, much like a cloud service, we can spin up as many new shards as a project requires. If one shard can handle 1,000 transactions per second, 2 shards can handle 2,000 transactions per second. Developers can simply add as many shards as needed for any given scale. Devio has implemented its cross-shard mechanism in benchmark tests with over 8 million cross-shard transactions per second. Integration is a breeze with DevX because transactions are actually created with a traditional Web 2 RESTful API. This means any one of the world's 25 million web developers can instantly and easily integrate the DevX blockchain to create powerful Web3 applications. The DevX sharding architecture, RESTful API, and consensus algorithm makes the DevX Layer 1 blockchain not only the fastest blockchain in the world, but also shockingly cost-effective, infinitely scalable, and most of all, interoperable for everyone. It's time for a truly unblocked blockchain. It's time for DevX.
All right. So for one, nothing against, DevX, but they are not the world's fastest blockchain. I hate to, basically ruin that hope and prayer that people maybe had in regards to DevX. The whole point of that segment was to give you a good example of scalability. Jasmy, as we speak, we have the whole thing in regards to centrality, and we can scale up to 1,000 TBS. You saw the example of what they showed with the sharding. No, not that type of sharding with a D, right, to 2,000 TBS. And where can we go from there? Well, that example they showed in regards to DevX, devs can incorporate more of that scalability they choose to do. So, I mean, that is game changer. So maybe from that point of view, that's infinite scalability. Am I really already ready to hop on the bandwagon and say, okay, this is the fastest one? No, not really. I want to, try to verify that a little bit more. But it sounds super impressive. The key takeaway from this is basically that Jasmy is looking to accomplish some big things with scalability, going to a Layer 2 and so on. What does that mean for the future? Well, what it means for me is that I recognize that, we talk about the accumulation phase. Yeah, at some point we're going to have to be able to swap this, but it's not a swap where it's like a meme token where, basically we like Saitama, for instance, where basically I'm down 99% on my initial investment. No, it was mentioned in the last particular AMA, and we cover this in the previous 2 or 3 days ago segment about Jasmy, that 1-1 ratio. That's awesome. You know what I mean? That stands out. That's a good thing. So I'm not sweating it. If I was sweating it and recognizing that, in the future, man, we're going to get killed with these V1 tokens. No, there's no talk about a V1 or anything like that. A good, solid project like Jasmy, again, 1-1. So I recognize the sales that we still have, and I recognize where we're going with these other scalable solutions. That was a perfect well done, well illustrated example of where we're trying to go. Now, back to the topic of, for instance, what we're sharing with you guys in regards to Felica. Here it basically is. This is from Reddit. We do share some info research from Reddit. And if anything, you should probably look more into Reddit too. It's a good source for information. Some of it's good, some of it's bad. But for the Jasmine things, I basically try to pick and choose the good info. So 2 years ago, this was reported that Jasmy is integrated into Felica, and Jasmy executive Marita is from the Felica team at Sony CSL. And that is worth pointing out because, we have covered here at CTN these different people, and that is like, for instance, Kazuma Sato, Kudetake Yando, talking about Hara, talking about some of these other key players. We never really got into the whole thing of Marita. Well, here it is. Senior strategist, Marita is a member of Sony Computer Science Laboratories and is familiar with the security of the non-contact IC card. Now, we have talked about IC card in the past. That's not the point. The point is, though, the technology, and that is Felica. Felica, if you didn't know, is a technology that has been used in Japan for 20 years and has never had a major security problem. Now, that instills confidence. We're going to talk about Jasmine with the personal data lockers and that whole concept of protecting data, data management, and so on. Well, who is your plug? Who is your connector to actual proven security measures? Enter in Felica. It's proven itself. So another thing we talk about here is, like Mike Cornwell's pointed out in the past, like Stellar, basically that example of being able to swipe your debit card, and in the future, Auntie May or whoever the heck it is going to be able to use her debit card like normal, but if anything, it's tied into crypto, and she doesn't even realize that it is. Here's another example of security, right? In the future, people don't even realize that, for instance, Jasmine's personal data lockers, the security side of things, is teamed up with Felica, and they don't even realize it. But you know what? The things that run in the background that have proven themselves. That's what I want to pay attention to, and that's why I bring it to you guys. So there's a little bit more to it than just this, and if anything, I'm going to bring you to the next part of what we have. And basically speaking, there's this right here, and this is something, again, is from a while back, but it's good info. And I think this one, if anything, also comes from Neo X Tricks, or might come from Level 8, but that's beyond the point. At the end of the day, how does Jasmy face the new data security challenges brought by bring your own device, not bring your own beer, bring your own device in the post-epidemic era? Now, we were talking about just now the concept of security. So I like how this is headlined. How do they face that new data security challenge? Well, let's take you to just that. Getting more into this, you will see some things that are basically mentioned here. And I know this part where it mentions Delta and Omicron is blurry. I'm not going to get into that. And if anything, you're probably tired of hearing about, Rona and so on. But in reality, you got to keep in mind Society 5.0 and some of the developments about it and so on came in from this whole concept of this new world that we live in. So yes, there's many countries that are working diligently and so on. But my point is, when we get to the part where we talk about how these challenges will change people's lives and their work conditions, you got to keep in mind where it says this right here. Enterprises and individuals will continue to increase their intentions and demands for what? Remote online offices. Yes, absolutely. You even saw Kudetake Yando. He basically got that office in San Francisco because it was a future remote work area for the U.S. plug for Jasmy. Now you literally see these new partnerships for Jasmy to create mass adoption. Remember, we gave you that example from a few days ago. Was it Pleb? And there was another one. I can't recite it, but the point is Those are two key new partnerships for that US plug for mass adoption. So life and social life will rely more on various social applications. Yes, new isolated Rona, if you will. Online life and work will become the norm under the impact of variance. I mean, whether we agree with it or not, it's apparently a reality, right? So what is this? Well, it states in regards to business operators, they are, of course, concerned in regards to all this. And the convenience and flexibility shown by telecommuting under the influence of the epidemic are fully qualified for business continuity. Now, check out what's mentioned in regards to Google, Amazon, Facebook, and so on. Telecommuting has always been the norm in companies such as those. Employees who work from home only need to make a simple application. But telecommuting is more suitable for the era of the digital economy. Now, look at this. They give you this example. How employees use their personal phone for work purposes. 13%, for instance, of those workers enter time expenses related to business functions. 21% connect to social networks. 30% read and write, and only 41% access email. Okay. On top of that, what are the benefits in regards to bringing your own device? Like, literally me bringing my own Android phone. Mike Cornwell gives me crap all the time about having Android phone. All right. Well, he could bring his, iPhone, whatever the case be, right? Benefits of bringing your own device is, like it shows here, 58% is improved on productivity. There's a lot of savings for doing so, right? Because you're bringing just that, your own device. You're not relying on your employer to have the devices. But the bottom line is, like I said, 71% allows people to work on most comfortable devices. So if I want to use my Android, I can use my Android. Mike Cornwell wants to use his iPhone. He could use his iPhone and he could be glad about it, right? But on the other hand, the data storage problems of computers. Remember earlier we were talking about render? You just connected. It's okay. We did a segment about render. And we did talk about data storage. So what is all this and why make such a fuss about it? Well, it's not really a fuss, but the key thing is recognizing like what kind of value is in all of this. So it does mention Jasmy, and the point is this. It says data storage problems of computers, mobile phones, and other hardware devices used in remote office work. The data transmission problems of application software and network and enterprise IT management and low capacity are all new challenges that enterprises must face up to. Now, which ones have currently faced up to it and which ones have expanded and embraced new technologies? You know where I'm going with this. Distributed ledger technologies, the Internet of Things, and how it all comes together. So it goes on to state that these prominent issues will involve business secrets and the personal privacy of corporate employees. Personal privacy of corporate employees, business secrets. What kind of value is there on that? Now, this is something we have not touched on a lot, but earlier we were talking about how much certain, digital assets are going to be worth because of what kind of value they bring. We talk about the Internet of value, but we are talking specifically on Internet of Things, and those Internet of Things devices, depending on which ones, don't necessarily all have the same type of value, do they not? Right, of course not. Just like a real physical asset, as in like a mansion or a skyscraper, has a lot more value than my, middle class house that I live in right now, right? Obviously, again, it should be treated as so. The point I'm trying to share with you is business secrets and personal privacy of corporate employees. That right there is an industry in which, I should say industry, but that right there is a different level of privacy. That data on those secrets or the personal privacy of not just corporate employees, but executives and so on, that data itself should be worth heck of a lot more. Who are some of the plugs? Who are some of the connects? You get where I'm going with this. It said that basically speaking, in the digital economy era, every piece of data information is related to the company's survival. Again, company survival, how much is this going to be worth? I'll tell you this much. and they got to be worth 0.003 and some change. Again, do you understand the concept of utility in motion? In November of 2021, Japan's leading data security service provider, Jasmy, yes, I did mention Jasmy, company, provides a product, of course, that we know as Jasmy. And we know the history about this. I'm going to get more into it. But it was an introduction about this optimal solution for remote mobile working. And what I want to share with you guys is what's mentioned in this small little area. And that is in regards to the Secure PC Basic Edition and how it basically heralds, the official release of the Secure PC back then. And it talks specifically about meeting the market demand, because we're always talking about supply and demand, of remote mobile working in the post-epidemic era, providing both security and efficiency in the workspace. Yes, the workspace. Jasmy is about to take the business world by storm, not just by a little bit, but by storm, with a new round of innovation. Did we not see them expand? And if anything, constantly trying to develop new products. They don't just settle, for instance, for a laptop. We see, for instance, a smartwatch. We see all sorts of different examples. So, based on the earlier characteristics, issues for remote online work and life, Jasmy Secure PC exclusively, were you aware of this, enjoys Secure Knowledge Communicator, and we have talked about this, the SKC, and also Smart Guardian. You will always hear about this all the time. Maybe you get tired of hearing about it. But the key thing is the industry insiders, because of these technologies. These two technologies, as an SKC and Smart Guardian, are in the Internet of Things. And on top of that, the chain industry belongs to a new brand commercial level data security processing technology. Like it goes on to mention, there's all sorts of protection. But at the end of the day, I like the idea of some of these use cases. And again, check this out as well. Because we talk about data value and all sorts of things like that. They give this example that in an emergency, you can view operating details of the PC like the car's driving recorder. Look at this quote. The product is not only newly introduced, but the industry's first solution-based threat detection, contactless chip encryption technology, which can effectively prevent extortion software, unauthorized access, encryption, monetary mining attack. Also uses personal data cabinet, P2P, peer-to-peer, distributed storage services, technology networks through content address providers services. In regards to that file or that cabinet or that system, that is stored in the distributed storage system. So when we always talk about distributed ledger technologies, what about distributed storage systems? We talk about a personal data locker, but what about that locker and that data being literally in a cabinet, right? It's all literal, right? It makes sense. That, you have that data value sharing in the era of what? The digital economy. So it states this right here in regards to the government. I want to bring this to you guys. That under the influence of the epidemic, cyber attacks by computer viruses and hackers, of course, have been more and more rampant. Yeah, no kidding. And they are more inclined to a higher value. This is why I'm bringing this to you. This is not just some recycled thing. A higher value for governments, banks, enterprises, and financial markets. I want you guys to understand what you hold, why you hold it. Maybe you didn't even realize that there's different levels of utility, different levels of value of that data, and how much that could be worth. Plain as day, higher value for who? The government, the banks. I already said that. So I'm paying attention to this. I think you should pay attention to this. And the bottom line is the technologies. Now, getting back to the part about Felica, and before we get to this highlight, bottom line is this. In other words, with the help of Jasmy Internet of Things platform, because you better believe it is a platform, companies do not need all employees of the information technology department to work overtime. No, eliminate, overhead costs. Not that they're trying to be cheap on the whole thing of paying people time and a half, but they do have a business to run, right? So if you can enable these devices to be more efficient by simply people recognize, to be more comfortable bring their own devices that they're already familiar with, it's a win-win. So They can genuinely achieve automated management while ensuring data security. It dramatically simplifies the workload, like I was talking about earlier with the overhead and so on, of enterprise IT operation and maintenance, and prevents data information leakage. As the person in charge of the Sony Felica project, again, back to what we were talking about originally, Mr. Now Marita brings his experience in encryption technology to Jasmy services, thus significantly ensuring the security of hardware devices and various products of the Jasmy Internet of Things platform. All right. Bottom line is this. Why point out each one of these guys from Jasmy? You may be wondering that. And that's a good question. We want to know more about these specific people. Whether we have 23 people watching the show right now, or 0, or 1, whatever the case be, it's going to be chopped up. You guys will see it later. The key thing is this. Notice that Kunitaki Ando brought something to the table in regards to Sony many years ago. And if anything, what he brings, obviously, to Jasmy. Same goes for Kazuma Sasato with all his patents, his connections, education, and so on. Enter into this third person, right? You got to understand each one of these former executives bring a lot to the table. I like the idea that they're not all the same type of talent. So again, how many times have we brought you examples in regards to all these people bringing in different talents? Remember the analogy, again, maybe get tired of me mentioning it, of, a Hollywood production, right? Hollywood production has multiple different talents, different skill sets, different people who bring something. But the bottom line is Society 5.0. What is it really going to be worth? And if anything, what is it going to mean to you? In closing, I want to share these two things for you, because we were talking about, obviously, this whole new thing from Jesse Akira Finance. And I'm going to show you this example. So Final Aim is part of something that's connected with Jasmy. And I want to share this with you. This has a great example of their product. And this will give you an idea of how an Internet of Things device will be connected, or you could, we talk about verifiability, something to be certified on blockchain. Look at this. It's going to recycle it here in a second. It even shows US design. Look at that. Blockchain certified. This is an IoT device, right? Design contract. And you can verify what? On a ledger, right? And if anything, look, it's going to recycle through it again. Let's share it one more time. We're almost there. There's blockchain certified. Boom. So what about this new blockchain that Jasmy's trying to do? You get where I'm going with this. Every single thing that they're connected to, the design contracts, you name it, being able to have something that is a trusted layer. Talk about being immutable. These are perfect examples of that. All right, jumping into the last part of what we have. And I want to talk about Final Aim. I know we're talking about Felica earlier, but this is good stuff. This is this particular guy who is part of Final Aim. And basically speaking, this is from a while back, but this is good stuff. This will give you a broader perspective of where we're going with all this, because you want to know something. This is worth looking into. And then after that, I'm going to show you this thing from Final Aim, and then after that, I think we're going to wrap up the show. So let's go ahead and play this. Let me get on the right tab. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's go ahead and play this. Please smash that like, and there is some subtitles for you, because this guy's a little bit hard to understand. He speaks English, but he's a little bit hard to understand, so there's some subtitles for you. All right, let's go ahead and play this. Please smash that like, and thank you for staying here in regards to our extended coverage. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Masa, co-founder and CEO of FinerM. FinerM, a frictionless contract management for industrial design and manufacturing, especially enterprise side. So clients, Sony and Panasonic, those type of companies as the design department. Once again, I'm co-founder and the CEO of FinerM. I'm a serial entrepreneur. First exit is in Singapore, and the second is Tokyo in Japan. My first company is Mizo Financial Group, and the second company is a Recruit Group, and I was in charge of Information Technology Department, and the next changed the place from Tokyo in Japan to Singapore. After managing director twice, I joined the startup, additive manufacturing and the machine learning startup 2016. And I was in charge of chief operating officer and head of product management and executive director of corporate planning team. 2017, fortunately, I succeeded to be acquired a Tokyo Exchange listed company. As a co-founder, Yas is an industrial designer, and the first company is a Nikon, and the second company is the same company with me. He supported the tier 1 clients at Toyota, Honda, and Microsoft, SoftBank, those type of companies. About program, managing contract is costly and complex in industrial design and manufacturing. So our solution is contract management and execution platform by smart contracts. We have already launched the beta version of platform, and it's possible to manage 2D and 3D design and the contract and information of intellectual properties. As a market volume, some is 2.5 billion US dollars, and some is 18.8 billion US dollars, and about time 130 billion US dollars. And once again, we have already collaborated with Sony, especially the design. So final aim is to collaborate with Sony Design Consulting over the 1 year. And
let's just pause that for a second. So for one, think about this. What's one of the key things we've been talking about all night long? The Sony connection. Can you imagine people still stating that Jasmy has no legitimate Sony connection? Here's another perfect example of a Sony freaking connection. Like, unbelievable. What else do you also see on the screen? Do you not see, for instance, Flux? Interesting. Very interesting how it all comes together. We gave you that example of Render. And then also the partnership with, for instance, Flux, because that simply makes sense, right? Decentralized storage solution that provides the same type of specs that you have with Amazon Web Services and also have with Google Web Services, right? Or cloud services, for instance, right? Why would you go with the centralized entities when you could go with the decentralized entities and get the same type of service for significantly less, right? Price does sell. There's a place called Walmart for a reason, right? But we're talking about literally distributed ledger technologies, distributed storage systems, technologies, and so on. So I just wanted to point that out. We'll play the rest of this. This is good stuff because you want to know something? There always will be that one guy out there who hasn't done the right research or any research and say, no, these are just former Sony executives. They don't have any real ties to Sony. What a crock. Okay? For real. Why do I consistently bring this to you guys? I know that we don't have a lot of people watching at this particular point of the night, but it's okay. What a crock, though. Because consistently, you always see these guys who are partnered with other people who are like, yeah, we got this thing with Sony. What are you guys all trying to accomplish? Smart cities. Okay. Society 5.0. Yeah. Yeah. We're all trying to contribute to that. Oh, interesting. So there's no Sony plug. There's no Sony Connect. Again, what crock? All right. Let's play the rest of this. Here we go.
About Panasonic, we have already collaborated with them, not only United States of America, but also as Tokyo in Japan. And our business model is very simple, as a monthly recurring revenue, and sometimes customization will be happen. In that case, additional fee. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. So here is the last, I think this is the last part about it, because you're probably wondering, well, who the heck is Final Aim? Here is Final Aim, and this did come from the piece from the one and only Level 8, excuse me. And again, reported, roughly around this time last year. Final Aim and Sony, what do? They design consulting, begin proof of concept using IC card type hardware wallets in Web3 areas. You guys asked about the super wallet. You asked, is there any information? The information is already there. We just got to go back in time. Check this out. So here's a little bit detailed information. And if you're just tuning in, like, this is some really good, in my opinion, research. I don't know. Maybe you think it's crap. I don't know. Some people just whatever. But yes, for number one, we know that Jasmine recently got into finance democracy. Okay. Consulting. Boom. There you go. Right here. And on top of that, hardware wallets, the super wallet. So this whole AIM and where they're connected, for one, look where their headquarters are. Do Jasmy have a partner that's got the U.S. plug? Here's another example, Delaware. Were you aware that Delaware was our first state of the union? Yeah, the first state is Delaware. I don't know. I've never been to Delaware, but anyway. But yeah, Sony Consulting Co., Sony Consulting Co., Jasmine Consulting Services. Oh, there's no Sony. Jeez. Anyway, are working together in the Web3 domain. They have started this demonstration in regards to a hardware wallet. I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to show you the last part from Jesse. And Jesse does a really good job with this. Again, you got to give him a follow. I know most of you guys are. We're in Jasmine, but in recent years, Web3 tech is decentralized. We know this, right? Since its founding, if you're wondering about the Final Aim, they have been working on blockchain tech with the mission of making Web3 tech widely used not only by the people in high financial and IT literacy, but also regardless of nationality, race, gender, age, etc. Right? No discrimination. They're proceeding with the research and development. They did this. This is again from a year ago. They also globally launched the beta version of Final Chain again a year ago. Where are we at now? Are we literally seeing the taste of what's being reported? Think about this for a second, guys, because we're trying to get to the point of this new Jasmy chain. So is the beta literally over with? Well, that's what I want you to focus on. The beta through Final Chain over with, right? And now you see all this new stuff coming out. So all the time, everything was quiet. Again, like I always mentioned, you don't realize what is being built in the background. You know, it's not just Jasmine, multiple projects. I always mention XDC. XDC is probably one of the best examples. You don't see no news, no nothing. Watch out for the ones that don't mention anything. You know, a flutter or a person that never made any money in this whole thing of crypto, they're always going to point that out. Why do you want to be involved in this? Why do you want to invest in this? You know, they haven't mentioned anything. If it's a solid project that's part of or close to the top 100, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is sometimes. Now look at this. Talks about patents. Who do we know that's connected really heavily when it comes to patents? So Web3 platform for design, digital manufacturing apply for 3 international patents. As Sony Laboratories, based on the knowledge of contactless ID card tech, Felica, that Sony has cultivated over many years, it is used not only for payments, but also for a wide range of applications such as personal information management. Who the hell is, sorry, get a little excited again. Who is the key leader when it comes to personal information management? Jasmine, right? Absolutely. How about this other one? So, above it, Sony has cultivated, Felica, that Sony has cultivated over many years. So for one, you have Merida, who is with Felica, right? You have that plug cultivated over many years. So a great relationship, obviously, with Sony Computer Science. People are still stating that Jasmy has no plug, no connect with Sony. I just don't think they've done their proper research. I'm just being honest. I don't think they've done their proper research. All right, how about more about this? For this purpose, we are developing, at least back then. Look at this, guys. I mean, to me, this is like, we're not dumb. I help you connect the dots. Hardware wallet tech, including IC card hardware-related tech and mutual authentication, encryption, and communication technology. Mutual authentication. Remember we talking about, what's it called? Meridia, right? Remember that thing with the finger? You saw it in the thumbnail. Scans your what? Scans your vein. Boom, there's that. So again, my thing is this, and you've seen other content creators do it, right? You always reference the past to give you an idea where we're at right now. And if anything, when you do so, it's just like, oh yeah, now this makes sense. You know, we gone from the phases of test nets, but it was never public. I'm just being honest. I tie all this stuff in, and I don't need somebody to tell me that this is the connector, or this is the, you know, this is what happened in the past. I've done more than my own homework at this point to come to the conclusion of what we're talking about right now. This hardware wallet enables secure signature processing inside the secure element of the IC card. We talked about IC cards. So far, both Final Aim and Sony Design Consulting have been conducting joint research on design since 2020. Funny how that's mentioned, Final Aim and Sony. Funny how it's also mentioned, Felica, Sony. All the connections to Jasmy, back and forth. But yes, joint research since 2020. Now, in order to further deepen joint research and partnership between the two companies in the Web3 area, they will demonstrate experiments in the IC card type hardware wallets and tokens issued by Final Aim. They have this whole proof of concept. I mean, we can nerd it out if you want. But this is good because it explains the role of Sony Design Consulting. Look at this. Sony provides IC card type hardware wallets, supports blockchain tech from the design field. What about the role of Final Aim? They give you those examples. We already showed you the video, for crying out loud. I mean, it was a GIF, but it shows how it's verifiable on what? Like, look at this example on the top left. I don't know if I can make that bigger. Let me see if I can make that bigger. But the point is, it shows that certified. Yeah, there we go. That's bigger. Look at this. Look at this example real quick. There's not a lot of people watching, but you want to know something? We'll chop it up and, you know, do it from there. Blockchain certified. Here's this other example, mechanical parts drawings. Here's some more examples. It even shows certification date. Let's go further over to the right. Even face data. Remember we talking about scanning a person's face, their eyes, all that stuff? It says face data of a customer, 3D scan and modeled by iMetrics Japan. I don't know, guys. I mean, my thing is, maybe some people aren't excited about this. It gets me excited because I realize, like, how much this is going to be worth in the future. This has to be very, very valuable in the future. Am I complaining about the current prices of, like, for instance, Jasmine and so on? No, I'm not. I'm recognizing that this is still opportunity for me. It's opportunity for you. Let me jump back to, I think, the last parts of what we have in regards to this. Hold on a second. Yeah, that's the bottom line. Here's, in closing, is an example from NeoXtrix in regards to KYM verification. We did talk about, was it Morita or Meridia? I can't pronounce it right now. So that's the tip of my tongue. But yes, basically speaking, KYM verification. Will this basically like be what Jasmy's going to do in the future for devices? I mean, it's just an example. It doesn't necessarily have to mean it's just this only. It could be other examples, but this is a good example. And let's go ahead and share this. And in closing, here we go. Pretty simple, pretty much to the point. Everything that we covered for many months now. So let me know what you guys think in that regard. But here's, as promised, the part from Jesse of Carry Our Finance. I apologize. Sometimes I got kind of ahead of myself. I want to share this from him. I already have fast forwarded. So I want you to remember some of the things we presented to you tonight. We're trying to tie everything together. connecting the dots. This segment is probably, I don't know, 6 to 10 minutes, and then this will be it for the show tonight. But this is something that Jesse released 13 minutes before the show started. Maybe you already watched it. I don't know. But by all means, watch his entire thing about it. I mean, it's basically 38 minutes long if you choose to do so. This is a good part I already gone ahead and fast forward to. It's called Jasmy Chain. All you need to know from Jesse of KIR Finance, keeping it real finance. And yeah, let's just get right into it, right to the point. Smash that like. This will be the last part of our coverage. I know we had some stellar, but I need to start wrapping things up. I'll probably bring it to you guys. It's not time sensitive anyway. All right, so here we go.
And the reason I know this and why, I said earlier, the cart is maybe ahead of the horse, is that I've seen this happen in numerous other cryptocurrencies. Jasmy is by far an anomaly. They are following the same playbook as numerous other cryptocurrencies that develop their own blockchain, right? This is sort of a blockchain progression. This is where in the past I've said, Jasmy could use a blockchain advisor, right? Somebody from the world of blockchain to explain that, hey, this is your next logical step. Here's where, 300 other projects also went at the exact same point that you're at now, right? That's kind of what I'm getting at here. So the first thing they do, they create the Jasmy blockchain, right? In development. Great. Number two, we create the Jasmy super wallet. What is that? That's basically the interface, the interaction point between the community and the project, right? Jesse, you hold Jasmy. How do you do anything with it? Well, I need to put it in my Jasmy super wallet, and once it's in there, then I get the following utility things that are available to me, right? That's the point of the super wallet. This is your touch point with Jasmy, okay? Now, when you have that, currently, all of our tokens are on the Ethereum blockchain. They're in Ethereum land. They are ERC20 Jasmy. Is there any utility? No, there's none. On the Jasmy blockchain, would there be utility? Yes, there would. However, there's no supply, right? So what do? This is where the natural progression is to bridge the token over to the Jasmy blockchain, and then it would technically become the, quote, native Jasmy, right? That's it, native Jasmy. And all the other projects I've seen do this, that's exactly what they do. They bridge it, and then eventually, the coins that they're selling on exchange, they get rid of the old ones, and they already convert them. So something like a Coinbase, you'd have no idea as a user, but you may be buying the native coin, right? That's it. That's how the whole thing works. And then what that leads into is number 4, the data exchange token lockup. This is the thing that we've been projecting out for 2 years. This goes back to that original chart, which showed the businesses locking up the coin. This is how the coin goes up in value, is those are taken out of the supply. They are, quote, locked up, right? This is where the overall price rises, the market cap rises. This is where if you're holding the coin, the value rises, right? All of it hinges on this. It all comes together. And
come on, are you guys not hearing this? You got to hear this. You've been asking about all that talk about Q4 lockup. I hear you guys. I've seen you guys' comments. Rightfully so. I've been wondering about it as well. Literally, listen to what he's saying right here. This is the part you don't want to miss. I know a lot of people watching right now, but listen to this. Play some more.
In one picture, all right? Now, because the native coin idea was such a Pandora's box, let's say, I went ahead and I made some questions here, right? So I want to talk through these. So first one, why can't we just leave the coin where it is as an ERC20 token? The reason why, essentially, is that the existing supply has no utility, right? As I said earlier, it can be bought, it can be sold, it can be held. That's it. You can't secure the network or earn rewards with the current token. Transactions, as I noted here, are limited to 30 plus or minus transactions per second. You have extreme limitations and you have no utility. So could you leave it there? Sure you could. Yeah, we could leave it just like we have right now. But guess what? All those things that you want to happen, this 1, 2, 3, 4, what's the point? There's no point if you have no coin to use for utility, right? How does the coin get from chain 1 to chain 2, right? So chain 1 would be Ethereum. That's where we're at right now. Chain 2 would be the Jasmy blockchain. Existing assets move via a bridge from point A to point B. That's it. They would bridge them over. That's a term that you hear a lot of times in cryptocurrency, bridge the asset, bridge it from one place to another place. That's it, okay? Will the supply be increased or doubled by leaving the original coins on chain 1 and creating all new coins on chain 2, right? No, it will not. A bridge would be used for all 55,000 plus holders and incentivized via the new utility functions. Creating an all-new supply would essentially restart 55,000 holders. It would restart your market cap that, give or take, is $160 million, right? You would not take your market cap to zero. You would not, I would refer to this as nuking your own project, right? You would not nuke your own project by creating a whole new set of coins on chain number 2. There's no incentive. There's no incentive to do any of this. I'm not sure why people think that that could be a possibility, because it's really not. It never was. It never has been. To my knowledge, I don't think I've ever seen a single project that has ever done that. Not one time ever. All right. You simply take what you've got, your existing assets, your existing holders, and you move those assets to the new chain. You move it from point A to point B. That's all you do. All right. Now, are bridges manual or automatic? They can be both. Okay. So if you were holding coins, let's say in a cold storage wallet, you're probably going to have to do it manually through some sort of a manual transition page, right? If it is an automatically supported thing, in all the other coins, I've seen this exact same thing happen. Somebody like a Coinbase or a Binance, they come out and they say, yeah, we're supporting the token migration of whatever coin it is. You don't have to do anything. Just leave your assets here in your wallet, on the centralized exchange, and they'll just convert automatically, right? That's how it works. That's it. Then that's done. Eventually, at some point in the future, typically, the exchange may no longer sell the original asset, right? Because why would we? What's the point? There's no utility for it. Everything has moved to a new blockchain at that point, right? This is kind of where I was going with a native Jasmy token, is there's numerous reasons on why a native Jasmy token makes sense in the future. The current coin, does it continue to make sense as time goes on? Not really, okay? It makes sense to bridge it to the new Jasmy blockchain. Now, as an ambassador, have I ever been given any information whatsoever about a native Jasmy token? No. Have I ever heard Hara on AMA talk about a native Jasmy token? No. Have I ever seen anyone who represents Jasmy in an official way talk about a native Jasmy token? No. Those are all no's. This is simply Jesse, the person who follows blockchain, who has been following it for years, who, I guess, knows what a natural progression is in this world of cryptocurrency. And this is how I see it going. A long time ago, I've talked about the wallet. We've talked about the blockchain well before they were announced. I announced DWF Labs a good month before the team ever announced it. Our team of researchers all over the globe has found things that we knew before it was ever officially announced. That's probably where this is headed. Probably. Now, again, could I be wrong? Sure. Ultimately, could they say, hey, you know what? We're just going to leave all the existing supply on the Ethereum blockchain. We're going to move over to Jasmy blockchain and somehow make this work without it. That doesn't make any sense to me. But if that's, where you think this could go, Again, I'm only going based off of experience of following the cryptocurrency markets, of following, the Polkadots, the Cardanos, all these other projects that they all start on Ethereum. That's where everybody starts, right? But where you finish, eventually you grow out of it. It's like Ethereum is kind of like the neighborhood that all the friends moved into originally. And then as everybody gets older, people start moving on to different places because they outgrow the house in that neighborhood. That's kind of what happens here with Ethereum in particular. This is one of the reasons with Ethereum why they're trying to go to Ethereum 2.0. They have to increase the TPS, right? The throughput, the scalability. They don't have any right now. There is no scalability. Ethereum came out, I want to say 2016, 2017. So it's been out a long time, right? Originally it was proof of work. Now it's proof of stake. Even Vitalik himself has come out and said with Ethereum 2.0, he thinks they could get up to 800,000 transactions per second, right? To be seen, right? To be seen, can they actually do this, yes or no? I don't know. Ultimately, with Jasmy here, the entire point of everything is that the Jasmy blockchain brings so much more functionality in a good way than what has existed to date, right? And it makes it so that for all of us holders who are holding the coin, we may actually be able to use the coin for more than just holding it. We may be able to get some utility out of it, right? That's where this is headed. Now, some of these questions, some of this stuff, believe me, these are things that I'm going to ask an AMA. Absolutely. Have I had the opportunity to talk about them yet? No. Do I have any open conversations with anybody at Team Jasmy? No, I don't. I simply, as always, have followed it, continue to follow it. Now I'm in an ambassador role, and I help to promote it further with, whatever information I'm given. What the ultimate, ambassador program looks like, it's still a little bit up in the air. I mean, for all of us who are in it, we don't know entirely. Right? We really don't know yet. So I think there's still a few questions there, some things to be answered, some things to clean up. But our role as being part of this is to hopefully streamline some of these answers, right? Streamline. Get ahead of these things before they come up, right? This is a great example of that. Get ahead of something like this before it comes up. Is a native Jasmy on schedule? Yes or no? I don't know, right? We need to find out. I think there's a lot of reasons for it, a lot more for it than against it. But has anything ever been confirmed to date? Not yet. Not yet. But this is a start, right? So the ambassador program is a start. The announcement of the Jasmy chain is a start. And where we go from here, well, obviously some of us have some ideas of where we go from here, but to be determined when and where that transpires. All right. So that's it for today's video. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody out there. If you got questions, leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to comment about it. Otherwise, you can find me on Twitter, my website, and elsewhere. And for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse, Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always says your back, tells it like it is, right? right? It's something I'm going to continue to do, and I've always done. And I will see you on the next one. Have a good weekend.
All right. So obviously, big thanks to Jesse of Keeping It Real Finance, KIR Finance. I want to state this, all right? So you did hear the part where it's like currently no utility. I'm going to be honest. With all due respect to Jesse, I do not agree with that statement. What's a perfect example of that? Well, as we know, there is Jasmy secure blockchain PCs and laptops, and those are plug and play. Those people who choose to use that do have their own personal data management, and that is the utility right there. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a difference as far as opinion based off of like different utility layers and so on. But I just want to throw that out there. Do I agree with a lot of things that he said in regards to this new native token and so on, and where we need to go with that? Yeah. Yeah, he's right. I mean, technically speaking, I mean, you know, we got to get confirmation from the team and so on, but say what you want. Like even here, I mean, we talked about, for instance, some things that were speculative, and then you find out later that's actually a thing. He did it as well. So I'm leaning more towards trust the research, you know, connect the dots for a reason. And we'll consistently try to bring you guys the news and the info in that regard. All right, so that concludes our coverage for what we have. Let's get back into the comments. Very behind on the comments, obviously, and we're going to wrap things up. So Tim Shea is saying hello to Tennessee Eco Man. I don't even know if Tim Shea is still here tonight, and that's okay. But I do appreciate both you guys, Tennessee Eco Man, Tim Shea, Burger King Bathroom. I don't know what that's all about, Mr. Brian Dowie, and that's okay. I'm glad you guys are welcome, Tennessee Eco Man. Tennessee says, has anybody played the new Crow Play to Earn yet? No, I haven't. I still hold a lot of Crow, though. Interesting. Loaded Lions Main City. Never heard of it. The prices will fall at the end of the year, according to Magic Power Quant also. Could very well happen. I hear you. Excuse me. Bobby says, Jasmine, Quant, HBAR, Algo, XRP, XLM in that order. Wow. So your Jasmine is your number one, Quant's your number two, HBAR is 3. Interesting. I never really quite seen it like that, but cool. Nice to get a different perspective. All right. I don't know what this is about from Rick, but that's okay. I mean, it's been a while since I got in the comments. Azure Power in January 2023 render was 40 cents. Okay. Bobby says, I'll eat. You did change your avatar. Cool, man. Let's welcome Luis. Sorry for the late welcome, Luis. Glad to have you here, Luis Alvarez. 8:02, so about an hour ago. I don't know if you're still here, Luis, but thank you for saying yo. Bobby says, you mentioned moving platforms last time. I watched Meet Kevin and he streams. So we stream on all platforms. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to literally still doing work for CTN. You know, that's a decision I'm going to choose to. I'll let you guys know within the next week or so if that ends up being the case. When I talk about going to another platform, I literally mean that, a different channel on YouTube. But yes, we do stream to, Twitter. Twitter. We do stream to Twitch. We were trying to do Rumble, but didn't work for whatever reason. But that's basically what I'm referring to. I'm talking about literally me doing my own thing compared to being here on this platform. That's the bottom line. I hope to be able to continue to be on this platform. But, I may not, and we'll just have to see how that goes. I'll let you guys know probably next week or something like that. My hope is that I can continue to do that because I don't want to start over. Starting over is something I don't like to do. But yeah. All right. So thank you for Edward Thank you, Edward Vincent, for getting the thumbs up going and the squids, the 50th like. I think we got more than that now, right? 53. Yeah. All right, Senior, you're long gone by now, but good night. Have a good night. Magic Signs, got the Teddy. Thank you, Magic Power. Few see the gigantic potential of Internet of Things. That's because we are still at the very beginning. The digitalization of the world, that's the path. Very true. And even with what Jesse, a KIR Finance, was talking about, you know, yeah, some things haven't been confirmed literally from the team, but then you see it end up being confirmed in the research later on. They'll make a big announcement. But my thing is, yeah, even with Jasmine, still very early. I mean, they don't have the Jasmine chain yet, but I mean, think about this, guys. All the things that were mentioned maybe over a year or two ago, plus, you know, having a future blockchain. Now you got news about, you know, Jasmine chain. Literally, it's called Jasmine chain. So, am I going to lean towards, you know, if you're going to make your own blockchain, then of course you have to have a native token. I don't need to have Hara or any of those guys mention that. It's the whole point. You're going to have a native token of that blockchain. And if anything, in the future, you have other devs come in and build on your blockchain, build out an ecosystem. Anyway. Rue Black. Welcome, man. Good to see you, brother. Been watching tonight. Great show, Max. Thanks, Rue. Appreciate you, man. In the future, when we get some more things sorted out, not in the short-term time being, we'll have to have you either on the show or if it's me doing my own thing, whatever the case be. I'll let you know about that. But yeah, we'd love to have you back, my friend. And let's see here. Hey, guys who are still around. Thank you, Rue. Appreciate that. All right. Stump Rider says, thanks, Max. And Rue Black, oh, man, whatever platform you are on, you know I'm watching. Got my support, brother. Well, thank you. I mean, hopefully it is this platform. And again, I'm not trying to start any drama or anything like that. But, I mean, if it comes to the point where I have to move on because I'm basically forced to do so, you know, then I have to do that. You know, I mean, I hate to have to do that. But, you know, there's going to be some things that are discussed, and I'll make some announcements probably later next week, maybe by the end of the week. If not by the very end of next week, I would say no later than Monday, a week from this coming Monday. And that's where it's at. I do not like starting over anything. That sucks. You know, I see other people had to start over, and it just absolutely takes the air out of the bag, and they never get that momentum again. Don't want to have to do that. I really appreciate our community that we have here and your support. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you guys have a great Labor Day weekend. That's the show. Please smash the like on your way out. I'll be back with you guys on Tuesday. And as the saying goes, be safe. Don't do anything crazy. You know, how about this? Okay. We all want to experience generational wealth together. I'm not your mom, your dad telling you to look both ways when you cross the street. But in reality, if you happen to be driving late at night, especially this weekend, just do yourself a favor, even out of habit. Cross through a big time intersection in a big city. Just because it shows green, just make sure you look in your blind spots and look, you know, on the other side, because you know what? You never know when some crazy drunk is going to go flying through the red light and T-bone you or something like that. I want you guys to all be safe. Say what you want. Holidays, it could be bad news. We all want great news, enjoy a good meal with your friends, all that stuff. I want to see you all on Tuesday, okay? All right. Have a great night. We'll see you on the next one. Sayonara from the Rice Crop Consortium. Let's go. All right. Bye-bye.